How we doing? We got blurry Jeremy. How you doing?
I'm hoping it's all working out well. We're at the in-laws, so I am currently in the basement. But you know what? Even though it's June, can't keep me away from dynasty trades. That's what we're here for. We're gonna jump right into it. But I'm excited. We got a little bit of news too this week as well.
That is
Aaron
true.
Rodgers. So maybe the Steelers. Maybe it's their year. Maybe it's not.
And you know that Will has the news blurbs ready. I'm skipping the
Oh,
let's let the intro play for a second just to buy me some time to get it all pulled up. But I'm ready, man. This is and we got the startup too. Like obviously the linear startup is not the best way to go about things, but I think it'll be fun to kind of talk through and get a look at everything. But let's let the intro play. Let's get into it. But while I'm getting it pulled up here, I know you had the perfect timing tweet of an RJ Harvey practice clip catching a little wheel route from Bo Nix, and then immediately after we get the news, J.K. Dobbins signing. Now I will say I'm gonna pull it up here. It was initially announced as 5 million. I believe it's like 2.5 with 2.5 in incentives is what it looks like.
yeah. From what I heard, I think it's a 2-year deal. It sounded like with 5-year or 5 mil guarantee across 2 years. So probably 2.5 with four or so in incentives. So it's kind of it's like Javante Williams type money. I still expect RJ Hart like if Dobbins is going to shake me to the core. It's like it's like people with like Nick Chubb signing. It's like as if Nick Chubb is shaking you to the core of the guy you were starting. It's why are you a believer anyway? I mean, I think RJ Harvey still has holds the value he should be having, but you can probably press the brakes on some of the crazy value. Like now is the time you can buy him. Now is a good time that you can actually get him. Whereas like before, I mean, I saw him in some rookie drafts. He's going at like the top five, or top six. People are like taking him over Henderson and stuff, and I'm like, okay, like we know what Harvey is, but let's not get too crazy. I'm excited about the landing spot and all the things that come with it, but we don't need to get too crazy. And I think that's what this is. It just is a reality check of what he is.
Yeah, and I feel like I was seeing a lot of I feel like the consensus for a lot of people was that you could argue Harvey behind Genty was the best first year projection, just in terms of like Ramondre Stevenson versus, Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin for for Harvey. But I think this definitely is more of a death sentence for the any Estime Jaleel McLaughlin hype as far as having a significant fantasy relevant role next to Harvey, more so than it is oh man, Harvey is, only going to be playing third downs while J.K. Dobbins, takes over the backfield.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like talking to like a Nick Chubb situation. I don't think Nick Chubb's amazing. I still think Joe Mixon will be the guy, but it's more of a indictment on, Damian Pierce and Woody Marks insurance. Of like if Woody Marks isn't it, they have a veteran presence in the locker room. That team's also a contender, so they're like, hey, if we got a little bit of extra money, might as well get us some insurance at the running back position, which Mixon does get banged up from time to time. So it does pump the brakes a little bit on my Woody Marks, the Woody Roundup crew. But I mean, again, a Woody Marks is a late round pick, dart throw that has opportunity, and he still should have some opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, I see a lot of people in the chat. We are going to hit these trade questions before we get into the mock draft. So definitely hang around for that if you guys want to get into a nice, fun startup mock. It is startup season. But real quick, I do want to hit we had a one question from a live stream I said we were going to talk about at the beginning. So we'll hit that real quick and then we'll get into these. So this first one here from shout out Keith. This is a 14 team 1 QB. So we'll get in that feeling right now. 14 team 1 QB, start 9. It's a very 14 team shallow starters 1 QB. You're giving Genty, and the context is the running backs are very crusty after Genty. A 26 first mid to late and a 28 first to get a Monra, Chuba, and a 26 second late. Other wide receivers are Chase, Neighbors, MHJ, Adams, and Godwin. Man, real quick before we get into the second deal note, like I don't mind the like swapping Genty for some of these elite wide receivers, but I'm not trying to add 2 firsts onto it to make that happen, especially with my current wide receiver room.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this is definitely one of those deals where you're like, I hope I just get the trade was completed notification that comes through because, yeah, I mean, Ginty is probably worth more valuable than Amon-Ra St. Brown straight up, and then on top of that, you're adding 2 firsts, and you're also saying, hey, my running backs are crusty, so my only good running back I have, like my only good running back is Ginty, and I'm going to down tier from Ginty to Chuba, and give up all my future flexibility. Like, if you want to move a first, go take one of those first and buy a running back to pair with Ginty, and you'll be much better off than trading a centerpiece plus 2 first-round picks for another centerpiece, and basically just saying, hey, like Amon-Ra St. Brown has to learn how to play running back and get that dual designation. Otherwise, I'm rolling out Chuba and a bunch of scrubs.
Yeah, and we can we can hit the second one pretty quick. The second deal. Shout out to Keith. Thank you so much. There were some kind words that I trimmed from this message that were left in the comment. Appreciate you, Keith. Thank you for the support, watching the streams and the videos. But the second deal would be giving Davante Adams to get Swift. Team is ranked number 4 contender view in Dynasty Daddy. For me, I mean, I'm not out on Swift by any means, but for me, I just feel like I would rather find a different way to round out your running back 2 position behind Genty than to give Davante Adams. Now, the Godwin coming off the injury makes it kind of interesting in terms of like trading away Adams with his wide receiver core to get a running back, but I don't think I'm trying to do that on a contender necessarily, unless I'm too low on Swift. Definitely talk me out of it if you think the current Swift Bear situation is something to trade away Davante Adams on a contender for, because I'll listen to it at least.
If I'm trying to win, I'm not trying to get rid of Adams. I feel like Adams is one of the best bargain bin smash guys. Yeah. Like in of all the offenses to land in, the Rams hyper target people. Like, I mean they hyper targeted Kupp until his like limbs fell off. So to me, Adams is an absolute crush. I mean, I think if it was like a random second, get Swift. Like I need some insurance. Like I would be looking to make a deal for like a Swift and Aaron Jones, a Connor. And if you want a bigger name guy, I would be looking at like a Marvin Harrison Jr. type. Because is Marvin Harrison Jr. going to start as a contender? Like on this contending roster, you already got Godwin's, Adams. Like I could probably move Marvin Harrison Jr. and get a shinier running back that is, like a Hampton. You could probably get a Hampton type conversation, a Henderson, someone that you feel better with at the running back 2 spot.
Yeah.
Then trading someone, because Adams is like only contenders want him. And if he wants Adams, you're probably also trading him to a contender. So now you're just making a competitor to you better. Whereas if you could take a Marvin Harrison Jr., go to a rebuilder and be like, hey, you have Christian McCaffrey. Give me Christian McCaffrey and a late first-round pick. And then that, like now that deal builds you up for the future and for now, versus kind of trading a win-now piece for a player that's probably going to be an RB2 at best.
Yeah. I just think there's cheaper ways for you to figure out that running back 2 position, and I wouldn't be too stressed about it, especially right now in June. These feel like very, very rushed moves, especially when you're tacking on 2 firsts in that first one to get Amon-Ra. You got a lot of time to figure out who your running back 2 is going to be.
Yeah. Now I will say too, like you said, you don't start a lineup till September or whenever. If it is week 8, Adams is injured, like Adams is inconsistent, like sure, you could do this deal, but this is a deal that you could probably wait on because we don't even know what Swift's role is. Might as well just wait. Maybe go after like the Chuba guy or something else. But there's other options out there at a much cheaper cost. For sure.
I did want to acknowledge this Woodrow Marks from Big DS. Appreciate that. Shout out Big DS. All right, Dabadoobie here. Traded Devonta Smith, Swift, and a 26 second for London this week. Especially I see these consolidation moves. I mean, especially if it's in a shallower league, this is a banger for me. I'm a big London guy. If this was a deeper league, this is kind of a sneaky move, but I'm not. I don't even want to ask enough starters to like try to make me want to take that Devonta Smith second and Swift side, but I could see this making sense. Yes.
Yeah, Swift for a second. Yeah, I mean, I think too. Do we know the format here? Because I think unless if it's a
Yeah.
very deep league,
That
this
would
is
be
a
pretty
great
deep.
consolidation move. Because you're kind of trading away like a low end wide receiver 2 at this point in Smith, low end RB2 in Swift, and then a random second, and you're getting a guy that's probably fringe wide receiver 1 type range and younger. So yeah, I think that's a great deal.
All right, next up
Man,
here.
I'm blurry as all hell. I'm looking at the thing. So I appreciate y'all being here. I'm not usually this blurry.
No, they could just the hair's growing back. You're from when my wife cut it with the dog clippers, so they can just look at me. All
That's
right,
true.
we got text next here. All right, this is an A/B side. All right, we got Cam Ward, Josh Downs, and Trevor Etienne, or Bryce Young, Luther Burden, and Jaden Blue. Start 10 full PPR. All right, this feels kind of, I mean, I don't know if you want to kind of cross out. I mean, you'd rather have Jaden Blue than Trevor Etienne. And yeah. I mean, as the resident Panthers fan, do you want to make a claim on how much you'd rather have one of Cam Ward or Bryce Young versus the other?
I mean, I'd probably rather have Bryce Young, to be honest. I feel like, and this is okay. I will say, everyone take this with a massive grain of salt. I do have hopium. I want to get excited that my team might be a little bit better.
Strong end of the year.
But the end of the year was rather strong. You add a significant weapon to the offense. Adam Thielen's back. Not a big deal for fantasy, but he's like a safety blanket there. They have one of the best offensive line, and they're improving their defense. So I do expect him to improve. And for me, I have a hard time seeing Cam Ward right out of the gate being good, because that Titans team just has so many different issues with it. But I do think they're the same tier. It's like, which side of the coin do you like? Because we haven't seen Ward play. And I think it's similar with Burden and Downs. It's like both have uncertainty. I like both of them.
I do love Downs.
The
reception dropped for Downs. I think today. So and I feel like Downs is the classic Twitter nerd, Dynasty degen, wide receiver, reception perception guy. But I do really like Downs, and it's funny, but I feel like the Daniel Jones, it's starting to look more and more like the Indianapolis Colts are going to be led by Danny Dimes. And funny enough, I feel like that's giving a boost to Downs for a lot of people, for better or for worse.
Yeah, people also forget that Danny Dimes is basically the same thing. So.
Yeah, worse. I will say worse. Worse deep ball for sure. But I would argue probably slightly better across the board, just from a consistency perspective. But yeah, we're gonna miss those A-Rich bombs if we really don't see him playing for the Colts this year. I think we probably get a couple games, but we'll see.
I think he'll be back. I think if you're the coach, like, I think if you start Daniel Jones, you have to make the playoffs. That's the only way you keep your job. If Anthony Richardson shows decent improvement and you're like 8 and 9, I think the coaches and the GM keep their job if they can show improvement that Anthony Richardson's starting to get it. That's why I think they're gonna give Anthony Richardson more of a leash, because you put Daniel Jones in there and you have to win. There's no other way around. But back to the question, I probably would just take the Bryce Young, Burden, and Blue side. I feel like the upside's a lot higher. Because, like, we haven't seen Burden play. We haven't seen Blue play. Both of them have somewhat decent spots. Burden could totally be that guy, especially if DJ Moore kind of gets faded out of the picture. Burden could totally be a guy that Ben Johnson uses a lot. And then Jaden Blue is probably going to be a decent RB option, given that the Cowboys just seem to put anyone back there. They have open tryouts for running backs at this point. So Jaden Blue's the best one with pedigree at this point.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing with Burden, I do really like Burden, dealing with some injuries right now. And, I saw some interviews with Ben Johnson talking about, like, a little bit of frustration of, like, obviously you're, can't compete and be on the field if you're, not out there, like, at practices and OTAs and everything. But I would just definitely exercise patience. I feel like that is just such a consistent thing with rookies, is we see the first couple weeks and we're like, this is what it is forever. And I think the Bears will be a very interesting one for not just Burden, but for Loveland, probably for that running back room as well. But yeah, I think it's pretty even, and I'm a big Downs guy, but I probably would end up taking that side just because I can talk myself into the upside of all three positions versus I don't really see a lot for Trevor there. All right, next one here from Christopher. Traded Stroud, 2 2027 firsts, Wandale, and a fourth for Hurts and Jacobs. It's a 10 by 10 superflex, 6-point passing touchdown, 0.25 PPC, which doesn't feel like a ton, but obviously boosts up the running back position. You're given, if you get what? The easiest one is 20 carries is 4 points, right? Working backwards off of that is like 4 bonus for.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a significant boost to all running backs. I mean, there's very few trades where I'm sitting here being like, yes, you traded like a borderline top 10 quarterback and 2 first-round picks, and I feel good about. But Jacobs in 0.25 point per carry and Jalen Hurts, like, are you kidding me? I mean, both of them are going to get the rushing upside with the boosted rushing.
Right.
6-point passing touchdown. Hurts is going to be fine. Like, and then Hurts gets all the rushing touchdowns, and it's a 10 team. Start 10. Like, I don't really care as much about this first. Consolidation is going to win you this league, and consolidating up to probably a top 6 running back, at least top 10 running back if he stays healthy, and Hurts, who's literally a top 5 quarterback if he's healthy. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge win in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you could probably do. I mean, Hurts, Stroud in a first for Hurts in most, even 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, I think you could see go down, and I think you can cancel out Jacobs with the other first, and I have no problem with it, especially consolidating in full PPR as well. But yeah, I think in those shallow leagues, don't hate that at all. Tristan here, wow, sick new setup, Jerry, my man. Do I spy a Fantasy Football for Dummies book on the shelf behind you?
Yes, I'm trying to study up. I'm trying to study up to prep for this season. But yeah, it's a new setup. It's my mother-in-law's office. But I was like, oh, I'm going to bring my mic. I'm going to bring my webcam. Completely forgot. But that's not going to stop me from answering your trades.
Heck no. All right, Philip J. Fry. All right, trade away. I'm going to read the format first. This is a 12-team super flex, 0.5 tight end premium, start 10, 6-point passing touchdown league. Trade away May, Godwin, and the 202, and Javonte for Nico, Dak, and the 204.
Okay.
Wait. He has Hurts, Mahomes, May. Oh my goodness. Bijan, Jacobs, Mixon, Connor, Amon-Ra, Puka, AJ Brown, Godwin, Bowers, McBride, 107, 202. Stay. Philip, I don't even feel like this is the kind of team I read, and I'm like, is it even worth me answering this question? Like, is there anything you could even do to this team to just not be strong for the next 4 seasons?
Philip did say 2 comments down. He said top team on Dynasty Daddy, which is like no surprise.
Yeah, I didn't need to read that one, but yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, basically, it's getting off of the and this is what you want to do with these teams, right? The teams that you have like 3 insanely strong quarterbacks, you take whichever people will buy. So if that was Mahomes, I would have no problem moving it, even if it was Hurts, honestly. Yeah. And you could get the Hurts price back in. I mean, I wouldn't want to, but in terms of being willing to move based off of current situation. So I think I think we both agree, would be the ideal high value and move off having Hurts and Mahomes. So is that enough to get back? I mean, you get back the Dak QB3, Nico.
I think it's a good deal. I think Nico's pretty. I mean, again, if you've watched these, I'm always going to say like Nico Collins pre-injury was leading the NFL in receiving yards. I mean, he was on pace to be like
Julio
a top 3,
reincarnate.
top 4. Yeah, like literally be a complete difference maker. Bring in more help there. That defense is getting better. I mean, the situation is very good for Nico. And on top of that, you get Dak. Like, Dak is super cheap. You don't need that QB3 a ton, so that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I think in this type of deal, like, I'm like, cool, like, let me get a player I can actually start, which Nico's going to be a guy that you can slide in. And then maybe I start looking around, like, maybe I can offload, like, an AJ Brown, pick up some future first. Because at this point, when you have a team that's loaded, the only thing that matters is, like, okay, like, a 28 first, a 27 first. Like, just get it. This team will be good for 25, 26, 27, but like you just need to build up that future draft capital, because once some of these guys age out, then you actually can just easily replenish everything. But it's hard to make this team much better.
For sure. I I also I put you on the full screen. I was testing out the new production quality we've got, where we're doing the full cams when we're going on our yapping tangents, and I think it's very fitting that the first full screen was just
First one is
blurry ass Jeremy and the mother-in-law's basement.
you can count all the pixels, yeah.
No, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was well said. Well said. Very well spoken man, that Jeremy. Dynasty football key here. Stafford and Jacoby and Pacheco for a 27-second. Oh my gosh. 301, 406, 26, 226 thirds, 27 third.
Just
Are you
the
are you
kitchen
moving
sink
off?
of late picks.
I don't I'd be really curious about how many starters, how deep this league is, and if I care about having all these thirds. I don't just throw away thirds. I'm not just like I don't just piss them away. But in my 12 team start nines, I am very happy to piss all my thirds and fourths away.
Yeah, if you're getting all of that, I mean, I think that's decent value. I mean, it brings up the question though of like, if it is super shallow and these later picks don't matter, it's
Mhm.
like, is Jacoby and Pacheco and Stafford, are they actually impactful in a 12
Yeah.
team start nine? Where, like, because realistically, I think maybe Jacoby, like, I could see Jacoby being like your wide receiver 3 or like that flex guy that you plug in. Um, and obviously, I always will go after a running back. So Pacheco, but there are some concerns of like, okay, like, like how valuable are these players to your team? Um, that
Yeah.
being said, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like a second and a bunch of garbage, and you get 3 potential starters out of it. Like, that's a win.
Yeah. The additional context here was so basically it sounds like Stafford is the QB3 buy. So you're throwing in a bunch of thirds, 27-second to get. And I don't hate, especially with like those type of assets. I don't hate buying players like Pacheco either. That kind of have this depressed price, right? You could see easily Pacheco being worth more than a second, week 4. If it's like, oh, Pacheco's back from the injury, he's looking great, and he gets, 18 carries for the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, he is worth more than probably twice what he's worth right now. So, yeah, I don't hate that.
No, I agree. And the fact, too, that they didn't really bring in anyone serious, again, just goes to show that Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. I've done roster reviews and Kareem Hunt is on the waiver wire. And I'm like, well, first thing you do is you pick up Kareem Hunt because he was averaging like 16 points per game when he was playing. Yes, they're gross. They're cheap right now. They're probably going to have some sort of role, both Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of buying a Pacheco right now. Honestly, all 3 of those players are pretty undervalued for the production that they give you.
Just your long-time listener, first-time commenter.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
We need to fact check that.
We can do real quick here. I scrolled down. We're not too behind, so we can answer Tristan's fun question.
Okay.
What would you say is the funniest scene from The Office? Tristan's current top 3 are the Crentist, the CPR staying alive, and then when they forget the password for the former IT guy. Yes, that's some pretty good ones. I'd really want to rack my brain. I haven't rewatched The Office in a minute. That used to be I feel like The Office was kind of my like randomly put on a show. I think like everyone kind of has that.
Noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that for a while, but it was for a long time.
Yeah, back in high school, I had it just background noise.
I like
mean,
the dinner party is great. That episode where they all go over.
Cringe, yeah.
Oh, so good. With the
I
TV.
always thought the Scott's Tots. I know everyone hates that. That's just the funniest. That's just so cringy. Episode. And it's so funny just seeing all these kids be like, we get free college, and Michael Scott's sitting there at a desk next to them being like, I'm about to crush all their dreams. I'm going to give them a lithium battery.
Yeah, the laptop charger.
Yeah, I don't know why that episode gets so much hate. That's a good. I do think what's the fire drill, like intro, that one's always a classic where like, it's like the cats falling out of the ceiling and stuff. I remember that one too.
That's a banger. All right, so that was the 12 team. I start 10. Yeah, and I think that so this was that. Yeah, I think 12 team start 10 to get London in that deal that we were looking at earlier. That's definitely shell enough that's a banger. All right, Lad or MHJ PPR.
Some are saying that Marvin Harrison Jr. is too jacked to catch a football.
He does look jacked. I will say it is not fake news that MHJ is looking jacked. I cannot refute.
I mean, to me, I don't want to be the one to make the decision. Not the cop out answer, but like, can I get a plus on either side?
Yeah, it's
if I had to pick, I'd probably lean Lad.
Yeah, I'm in startup season. My answer between Lad or MHJ was I traded up slightly to take Nico. That was my answer to that question.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, so that's how I handled that. And yeah, I think they're just. I mean, I love Lad, and I'm not like a MHJ Shadow Realm hater or anything. If I have to pick,
I'm not either. But
I guess
I get the reputation.
Yeah, I guess if I have to pick, I don't know. My only thing with MHJ, and I kind of been thinking about this a little bit, is like a lot of the things that I think were people point to as like struggles for last season. I don't know how they're gonna change. It's a lot of like Kyler stuff, and like maybe like they get on the same page, or maybe the offensive coordinator uses him differently, and a little bit as a lot of that's just like, okay, maybe they didn't give him the easy stuff because he's not great after the catch, and maybe that's why it's a lot of Trey McBride. But I guess if I have to pick, I'll slightly lean Lad, but I am not down on MHJ by any means.
It's the hard thing with Marvin Harrison Jr. is like he's such a touted prospect, obviously the name, but like I'm like he can't just come in and just be like, bleh. But I think like you said, like I don't think the situation has changed a ton, and unless if it's like Kyler another year post injury starts scrambling more, can make easier throws for Kyler and connect with him more. But right now, I mean, I think if shit's getting crazy, where's Kyler looking? At McBride. It's like who cares about Marvin Harrison Jr.? We'll just do a bunch of overthrow fades in the corner of the end zone. But if you actually need to go to somebody, it's going to McBride, and that's who I really would want in that offense is McBride. That being said, I think both Lad and Marvin Harrison Jr. are same tier. Can I get a second? Can I get a third? Can I get a random running back? I'll take that side because at least I get something.
Yeah, those. Yeah, 500. What's up, Cody Smith here? The MHJ drafts 500 yards. I agree. I mean, come on. I will say, I just saw this out of the corner of my eye. Earth Day Revenge over Cyclops, also a banger. I'm definitely missing like so many great first 5-6 seasons of The Office moments. Let me know how you're thinking. Who wants to get this startup draft going? We've got a couple questions that we'll pull up too while we're going through it, and I'm sure it'll be a pretty casual answering questions. But let's answer one or two more and then get that going. Do I have the Dynasty Daddy? Do I have Dynasty Daddy approval? Dad?
Absolutely.
D?
I think we should. I will say we do have a live stream ask, as well. So we probably want to hit that before it gets sucked into all the info and don't have a Patty Mills situation where we leave him hanging for an hour and a half.
Gosh, this big DS just posted these MHJ trap pictures.
These traps.
All right, I am saving that to my desktop. Hopefully, my wife doesn't get on my computer. All right, we'll pull up the. All right, I'm gonna get this ready. This Big Diaz live stream ask question.
Yeah.
Tubb says, should I just not read chats that reference stuff? Dimes is an elite athlete. You gotta. I will say underrated. He's definitely the sneaky athletic.
He's fast. He can run right to the 10-yard line and then fall over.
I'll read this one off for you, and then I'll get this big old Diaz ready. Number 1 in contender for DD. Oh, so this is. Oh wait, this was the in context other question. That was just a banger trade. Hurts, Herbert, Gibbs, Jacobs. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, he is. You can. I'm just
in awe of.
Chris had the 101, the 103, the 105, and 227 first. So he traded the 227 first, got Hurts, and kept the 101, the 103, and the 105.
And Nico.
So,
and got Nico.
Yeah, and got Nico.
Amon Rapuka, Nico, Lad.
Nico. Okay.
You don't even need Rice. Temba, you don't even need Rice to hit. Rice could tear his both ACLs again. You're fine.
So you're okay. So who he's wondering who he should draft. with those picks. I mean, obviously the 101 you draft GT and say, cool, I have RB1 and RB3 in Dynasty. That's awesome. At the 10 with the 103. Ooh, I mean, yeah, it's like I don't know if you're like you said, you don't need Rice. You're like, do you want Hunter or Tet? Probably not. I think I'd probably try to trade back. If I could, I probably could get a decent haul. And if I could move back to like the 108 and pick up a future first or something, since I don't have 26s. I think I got it mixed up with the other one with the 227s, if I recall. Nope, no. Okay, so he did trade 227s. So I assume you don't have 227 still. But again, I think if you trade back from the 103, go to like the 108, 109, and pick up a future first, some in 26 or whatever, then you can just take a random running back in that range and just get that depth piece. And then at the 105, you can probably take Henderson or Ward based on how things are going to fall to you. But given that you have Hurts and Herbert, I don't want to take a high-end pick on Ward. I'd rather just try to trade back into a later first-round pick and just give me some future flexibility, because that's going to give me a lot more decisions to make down the line where I can go up and make another crazy Jalen Hurts trade or something like that.
And don't worry, guys, we'll get a Will full cam coming up here soon. Maybe let's Will full cam this one. All right, let's get it going. 12 team. What up, John P? 12 team.
Blurry camera off the screen, yeah.
Yeah, go check on the shelf behind you, because we got a question here from Harrison. What's the most exciting thing on that shelf behind you?
Okay, yeah, I'll have to do that.
12 team, 1 QB. I wanted to see him turn around before I went the Will full cam, but we'll see what he comes back with. 12 team, 1 QB, PPR, Rice, and a 26-second for BTJ. That's the offer I was sent, but I'm not sure I'd trade away BTG for Rice and a 26 first. Man, I'm all in on Rice, and I'll let Jeremy speak on this one, but I'm probably doing that for BTJ. Man, is it what is it? Is it I don't think it's a bad offer. Okay, I appreciate that. Just think BTJ will be in the chase. JJ Amonra. Oh, wait. I'm misreading this. Trade away BTJ for Rice and a 26 first. Okay. Well, let's do that, because I'm on the same page.
Solo cam moment.
I choked.
Solo cam moment. You're choking.
I saw you out of the corner of my eye turn around. I was really curious to see what you were grabbing. So come save me from this. Let's answer this question at least reasonably with, would you trade away Brian Thomas Jr. for Rashee Rice and a random 26 first?
I probably would.
This is a pro Rice stream. So these are the right people to ask.
It is a pro Rice stream. I'm always like, okay, cool. Like, you have a top receiver, you should trade it for a guy that could be in the same tier, and you pick up a first. It's always hard to do in practice. If I can do it, absolutely, I'd probably do it for Rice in the first. Rice in a second, nah. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. still. But if I am giving a first, yeah, I think I'll live with it, even if like Brian Thomas Jr. scores 2 points more per game or something. It's like, oh, I have an extra first. That's so much I can do. Unless if it's like insanely shallow. But realistically,
it is one QB,
12
but
team. I mean, it's like 1 QB, but if it's like start 9, even that's like like it's still you need a lot of wide receivers. You need a lot of players. So
yeah,
I always draw the line too high, because I always say yes. If you have a guy that gets valued like super high, so a top 5 wide receiver, if you can tear down to 10 or 12 and pick up a first, you should do that. Historically, that's the right move to make, even though it sucks. But I always draw the line too high. I won't go down for Nico, and then Nico Collins breaks out, and I'm like, damn it. So I do think if you can get a deal like that for Rice, you're probably going to be thankful you took that, because what's the real odds that Brian Thomas Jr. maintains his current dynasty value as that super elite wide receiver? Probably not that high. Even though I do believe in the talent, I do think he's great. But every year we have new wide receivers come in that smash and everyone freaks out. And only really 2, maybe 3 are guys that have consistently done it. And it's Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, borderline CD Lamb. Other than that, everyone else kind of goes up and down, right? Amon-Ra goes up to number 3 and then goes down to 8. And then, so it's like I can ride the wave. I can assume Brian Thomas Jr. is probably going to go down to 10 and then come back up to 6 and then go up to 4. And, like people are fickle. If I can get the extra first in my back pocket, I'll take it.
And not enough people are talking about BTJ's production last season with McCorkle Jones. He's got the QB downgrade to Trevor Lawrence this season. So we got to hit this one here. And I got y'all on a super chat donation. If you talk about my bullshit trade, I will say for absolutely free, we are happy to talk about your bullshit trade. But also for a super chat, we are also happy to talk about it. Just traded McLaurin, James Cook, JSN, and a 2027 first and a 26 second for Malik Neighbors and a 26 first. Am I really bad at fantasy, or is that okay? I'd be curious how many starters, just because, we are not big. I'm probably compared to like consensus rankings. I'm not big on like James Cook's current value and McLaurin. But if you want to cancel out the 27 first and the 26 first.
Yeah, they probably cancel.
You're adding a
you
second
probably cancel out the
JSN.
27 first and second in the first, right? Like the 26 is, you probably get a premium. Like a 27 first and a 26 second is probably worth a 26 first. You could probably just cancel all those picks out. So when you take like a JSN tier up with McLaurin and James Cook for Neighbors, I feel like I probably would. Because I feel like sure, you lose a little bit of the value of like a James Cook or a McLaurin. Like you're technically probably losing in the trade calculator. But you can also just take Malik Neighbors and go be like, okay, cool. Like I got Malik Neighbors in the first. Now I'm going to go get Amon-Ra St. Brown in the first, or something like that. Like there's so much you could do with Neighbors, and even you can just hold Neighbors. And Neighbors like had terrible quarterback play last year. It's a lot saying that Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart, and Russell Wilson are upgrades at the quarterback position, but they are. So Malik Neighbors should be aligned to absolutely crush again. And there's just so much flexibility with both the pieces you got. So yeah. I don't really hate it. Like you might be losing a little bit of value, but I also think McLaurin and James Cook are two pieces that are probably overvalued right now as it is. So, in the long run, I think it's pretty fair considering you took JSN, you put McLaurin and Cook together and got Malik Neighbors.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think too, like if that was Jamar Chase instead of Malik Neighbors, I just feel like Malik has earned the right to be in that conversation. And I think if that was Jamar Chase, it would be a lot shorter of a breakdown for us to just be like, yeah, just go get Chase. Like, unless this is like crazy starters or anything. Just sent you the mock draft link. We're gonna still be answering questions. We'll get into this mock draft. We'll probably be talking through a lot of the picks. This will be like a linear. What are we thinking? Like, let's go.
No snake at all. Oh no, there's a
no. Snake. Yeah, I just mean linear in terms of like 60
you got me
seconds.
Scared here.
Okay. Yeah. I guess linear is not the right word to use.
Yeah, I just like linear. Snake's an option. At least snake.
I think no, it really is more so me being in actual drafts. Oh, I appreciate it here. Appreciate the help, boys.
Thank you.
We got the air horns. Appreciate it, and appreciate the help, boys. Malik Neighbors for president. Malik Neighbors for Dynasty wide receiver 2. I said it.
Wide receiver 2.
I said it.
Not putting him over Chase yet, huh?
I just can't. I just can't watch Chase get back-to-back triple crowns and put another wide receiver ahead of him in Dynasty. I can't do it. I'm gonna post the link here in the chat, and we're gonna pull up a question. Maybe we'll even fold. We'll let people get in here, but I'll hit you with sneaky athletic lad for the 105 frickin' steal. Yeah. I think that's what you want to do, I will say. And I'll let you speak on this a little bit while I'm getting the draft ready. But I think that's what you want to do with your, like, outside of Genty, Hampton. You can even do it with Hampton, depending on where you can get up to. But for me, if I can turn these, like, rookies into also young production that I am, like, able to count on and bank on, I'll happily do that for Travion Henderson.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think if you look at Lad, like that's what you want in that range. That's a steal, and that's the benefit of being on the clock or being close to, like, everyone wants a rookie pick. If you can turn it into a Lad, which Lad would literally probably be the 102 or 103 this year, like value wise. So you're looking good. I mean, even guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. Players. The Marv hater here did acquire some Marvin Harrison Jr. with the early to mid first round picks. So I have done that in drafts. Like players in that range that have proven something, have some of that insulation, and have draft capital with the youth. Like a Lad, it's a perfect range, especially if you're like, I don't need Cam Ward or Henderson. Like, go ahead, like let it rip.
Let it rip. Hell
let
yeah.
it rip.
All right. 1.10 in premium. Kyle Pitts, Jonnu Smith, or Isaiah Likely. You hear about the all-pro Isaiah Likely we're going to get this season?
You know what's happening this year?
No.
Otherwise, I'll never make a video again. Kyle Pitts, tight end 1. It's happened. No. I'm joking. Kyle Pitts doesn't deserve to be in this conference. To be honest, give me Jonnu if he's in Miami. I think what you saw 2 years ago was the Miami Dolphins had a much better offensive line. They were able to push the ball down the field with Tua and Hill, and that's why Hill had that phenomenal year. They're able to do those big, deep routes with Hill. Last year, what you saw, they had a terrible offensive line, and they had to do all these underneath things. And that's why all of a sudden Johnny was getting, was tight end 1 the past, like in the playoffs and stuff. To me, I'm like, I don't see their offensive line significantly improving. I expect a similar style of offense a lot of times. A lot of these checkdowns, A-Chain and Jonnu, a lot of that work, especially with, not saying wide receiver age cliff, especially with Tyreek Hill getting older. It's not going to be like we turn back the clock on Tyreek Hill's speed. Like, to me, I think if Jonnu's still in Miami, which he says he wants to be, obviously there's a lot of things out of his control. He needs to do contract, but yeah. I think Jonnu easily has the highest ceiling. I do like Likely, though, as a stash, especially in an improved, like this tight end premium like this, because Mark Andrews could be on his way out. That's another one there. It's like on there. If Mark Andrews is out, then Likely should totally be a locked-in starter in pretty much every format. And Pitts, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the...
Someone else on the back.
Yeah. I think the obviously the Arthur Smith connection with let's get in here. We got some spots here. There we go. What's up, Ray? We've got 5 slots left here. Dynasty startup mock draft. But yeah, I think a lot of the Jonnu Steelers, I get the Arthur Smith connection, and I believe that the Steelers would be willing to do that move. But I think a lot of that stuff is contract negotiation, leverage. I want to be in Miami, but I'd be willing to move, like that kind of. Yeah. All right, we've got I 4 more slots here. Yeah.
I mean, the Steelers are going after everyone, apparently. I mean, they're going after Pitts, they're going after Jonnu. We'll see if they actually go after anyone. All my Pat Freiermuth teams are not looking good, so we might have to see how that goes, but...
Heard you say you aren't huge on McLaurin. I did say that. If you're a contender, who or what would you try and use him for? I think for me, it's more of that range of receiver that I don't deem like difference making. So I look at McLaurin and I see how can I get the McLaurin value and plug in Darnell Mooney into McLaurin's receiver spot. That's kind of how I view McLaurin. Not necessarily that I think he's gonna like fall off a cliff or anything, or obviously the touchdown production last year, you can kind of talk about that a little bit in terms of current value, but I actually think he's like, in terms of just like normal dynasty startup, so like where is he even? Sleeper ADP is a little janky too, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, like this range of receiver, like the Zay Flowers, Terry, even Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, like a lot of these receivers I just don't really care as much about who I get. So I feel like I kind of lumped them all together. So I don't think I would like try to move off of him, but if you can get like the Terry McLaurin price from last year's production, I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, I don't think it's as much. Like, I might not be as down on him as Will, so I'll let Will speak for himself. I do think McLaurin will have similar-ish production, but it's also like he's an older guy, had a big boom season. It's probably good to move off of him. It's the same reason I talk about James Cook, where I'm like, he had a boom season. There's easy regression baked into his touchdowns. If I can get that price and just tear down, like, you could probably take McLaurin and go get Davante Adams. It's like, well, you're a contender. You could probably get Adams plus or something like that. That's probably you're still going to get similar, probably better production from Adams. And you can pick up a future second or something else. Yeah, I think that's just why, like, one of the things where it's like, he didn't have consistent elite production. I'm more inclined to say, cool, probably just a blip on the radar. I can sell him at a increased price and just move to another player within the same tier that's probably going to produce just as well.
Yeah. Little John note here, and we're 3 away. If you're thinking about it, you're considering, you're like, maybe. Actually, do you want to? I don't know if you have the capabilities in the mother-in-law's basement, but do you want to throw it in the Discord and see if anybody wants to join?
I can do that.
There we go. Nice. Why don't you make yourself useful?
You're clicking all these get gadgets, all these different things, and I'm just sitting here.
Did we ever get the interesting thing? I'll let you do the Discord thing first, and then you can tell us the interesting thing you found on the bookshelf. Jonnu has never really had good QB play until he got on the Dolphins. Shout out to that Falcons year, demanding targets over Pitts, and then throwing shade on my boy Ryan Tannehill. We'll got some use out of Ryan Tannehill. Okay. All right, we're gonna parse the tiers here while waiting for the final 3. And if you're in here, if I see somebody drop, I'm gonna remember your name.
That's a threat.
Yeah, it is. All right, Ray Roo here. We're parsing the tiers. Higgins, Burden, Besh, Harris for wide receivers. Loveland versus Warren. Where do you both fall in the end? Will had a regret pick in his Dynasty startup we were looking at last week.
Yes.
Big regret pick. But I have no Tyler Warren or Colson Loveland so far. I have a couple rookie drafts coming up still.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a chance. And I took Tyler Warren at the 7-1, which I don't think is terrible.
You mean the 1-7?
No, it was a startup. startup.
Oh, okay.
So it was all right, let's just get this going. Bang. Oh, should we randomize?
You lead us.
Do you think people? All right, we're randomizing. We'll do in 3. We're 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Sorry if you picked your slot that you wanted to practice for your actual draft, but also not sorry.
Now people are gonna leave.
You gotta be flexible.
You never know when the commish just randomizes everything.
I think a lot of these. I mean, I personally am higher on Higgins. My order would probably be Higgins, Burden, Harris, Besh. But I could be talked into Burden over Higgins. Oh, settings recap. Wait, sorry, it's great call. Top left here. I don't know if I can zoom here. We are super flex.
Oh, dang, it's ripping.
12 by 10, 0.75 tight end premium. And we're going 15 rounds here because that's what fits on the board. Okay, I was prepped. I'm ready. Okay. So right here, I'll put in the chat. Bang. Good call, Cody.
Cody's got us covered.
Got to get his JJ. Got to get Will's Dynasty wide receiver 3. Nah, I can't talk down on JJ at all. They're all still in that tier for me together.
That's bold. That's bold to talk trash on Justin Jefferson.
No, when that's like the thing with like Dynasty rankings and everything. And when I talk about like Terry McLaurin specifically, and not to like pick on or talk about like that comment specifically, but I just feel like so many positions and tiers, it's just so much more important to talk through tiers, especially in a startup draft too, and like ranges you can pick players, because there's so many players fall into just a category. Like really, we are all just drafting players. This might be news. We are just drafting NFL players who score fantasy points, right? And a lot of them score similar fantasy points, but some people think that like this guy's 10 fantasy points is sexier than that guy's 10 fantasy points. And they draft him 4 rounds higher
You're
than the
getting
other
deep
one.
here.
There's I probably should get ready for my next pick. This will be ooh. All right, QBs. Oh, we got Bowers off the board. I would have loved to take Bowers. I've not been able to do a startup where I've taken Bowers in the first, but I would love to, especially in like at least pushing 0.75 would have been Will taking Bowers here for sure.
Yeah, 0.75.
All right, I have never
especially double.
Will's in a real startup here. He's probably taking Malik. I'm gonna push myself.
Dynasty wide receiver too.
I'm doing the. Should I push myself? I'm gonna push myself, and I'm gonna take running back in the first round. I don't think I have never in my life taken a running back in the first round of a Dynasty startup. I just don't have it in me. I don't have the cojones. Will loves clicking his James Connors, his Aaron Jones.
First Dynasty startup I took Saquon Barkley in the first round. That was before we understood how valuable quarterbacks were in the Superflex league. So,
and honestly, I mean, the injury stuff is tough, but like Saquon, like you were not wrong, even though you ended up being very wrong. Like Saquon himself, the prospect, what he's done in a good situation this last year with the Eagles, like that is a first round running back, you know?
Yeah. There's few that belong up there, but when you get one, then you definitely keep it.
Okay. I don't know if I have it in me to double tap running back. It would be kind of fun.
Bijan Ginty, you're like, oh, sick. Like, but then you're also kicking the can on quarterback for a long. Well, actually, it's a third round reversal, so you should be okay.
Yeah, we are third round reversaling. I should have called that out as well. I'm Puka Mahomes here if I'm in a real startup. But I think it'd be funny to see what happens with something I would never do.
Yeah. I gotta try a different build. I mean, that's one reason I take Hurts really early. I mean, I think Hurts is very undervalued compared to the other Russian quarterbacks that consistently just put up the same production every year. It's always Josh Allen, Lamar, and Hurts. If they're healthy, they're always top 4, top 3. I think that's one of the safest bets you can make. But it is hard to pass up on like a Jamar Chase or that. But then it also gives me the flexibility to not have to take some of these valuable, younger second or third round quarterbacks, and I can kind of tap a different position if I want to. That's one of the reasons I was like, sure, could I probably get Hurts at the 106 or something? Probably, but locking in a solid quarterback, I don't really have to worry.
Love the Nico pick. And I'll let you talk through this pick.
Ugh, that hurts.
That literally hurts.
I was hoping like a Nico would fall. Also with like McBride off the board, that sucks. I mean, then it becomes like, do I get weird with the quarterbacks? But then it's like, there's so many quarterbacks still on the board. This is one that I hate to take.
Willing. This is a Jeremy's put in the chat. Willing to trade back.
Yes, this is definitely a me trading. Given that though, I want to make sure I'm involved in wide receiver.
Yeah,
wide receiver production is one of the stickiest. I've been talking about this a long way, but dynasty value correlates highest at quarterback and wide receiver. So if I'm taking a high round pick in a startup draft, I want it to be a wide receiver and a quarterback most likely, because I know I can probably piece together some sort of running back room, some sort of tight end room later on in the draft.
Mm-hmm. So Cody, is this CD wide receiver 5? Obviously you took Chase there at the 1-5. Is this Jefferson, or took Jefferson at the 1-5, Jefferson, Chase, or maybe it's Malik 1-5. I don't want to hear it, but I want to hear it. Let me know.
It's probably Malik. Right. What happened to CD? Everyone acts like CD's like dead or something.
That was my assumption, and my assumption was wrong. Will's wide receiver 2 is Cody's wide receiver 5. I gotta go back to the drawing board. I gotta reconsider.
There we go, yeah.
I respect and honor Cody Smith's opinion. But let's obviously, I don't think Cody would have any issue taking Malik around the range that he goes in startups. I don't want to speak for you, but let me know. May goes there. All right, this is
feel
tough.
like CeeDee Lamb's a good buy. Like if I'm trying to trade.
So the tough thing about starting running back is what's happening exactly right now is because this team is going to compete, and wide receivers, it's like AJ Brown. I don't really love taking Garrett Wilson or even Hunter at the spot, even though I am big on Hunter. You don't want to fall behind at quarterback. I probably do have to.
Yeah,
this is kind of like
a run at quarterback.
There is a bit of a run. 410's my next pick. It feels like a little bit of taking my medicine and just taking one of these quarterbacks. 4-point passing.
Yeah. Because by the next time you get a if you skip, your next option is probably like Goff, Bryce Young ish range.
Yeah, which I've got no issue taking one of those, like whoever falls. Like I've gotten like this last startup I did like late in the 5th. Like I'll take my medicine and take Goff there just so that I'm not scrounging to reach on Geno in the 8th or something. But it does feel gross, I will say. And then you just get to look at everyone's beautiful receiving rooms. I mean, this is why I almost want to minimize this just so that hey, rookies and sophomores, get them against values. This is in relation to the Malik convo. I kind of get that. And I think people overevaluate your buying years with players when like it's not like Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb's value is going to fall off a cliff in a year or two just because they're slightly older. If they're still giving you, that top 3 production. All right. Now, obviously, it's a little bit weird. With the linear startup is definitely more of a like player take convo, roster construction with how linear it has to be moving around the board. Have you had any? I have one league that was a startup like this, like we're doing a redraft, and it was a dynasty startup. No one's trading. You could trade picks, but the clock was like 60 seconds, so that's not really happening.
Yeah, so it's like no one's sending out a ton of trades.
Right. Have you had any leagues like that? I'd be curious. Where your dynasty startup was this linear, and then you actually was a real life league. I like the Kyler pick.
Yeah, I was hoping Kyler.
I'll let you talk through this pick here. So we got Hurts McConkey start.
Yeah, I got Hurts McConkey. I'd like to get another wide receiver on the board, and then kind of because I would have taken a Hampton if he probably fell, but now a lot of the running backs I'm not as enticed by. So I'm looking at the wide receivers. Do I want like a Wilson? Do I want to go with the Hunter, McMillan type of deal? Do I want to get crazy and go like Rashid Rice or T? I think realistically here, I'm going to go with an AJ Brown just because I also have Hurts. Like I think that's the tiebreaker for me is I know it's not best ball, but I get a stack. I feel like that's a decent option here.
Yeah.
Even though AJ Brown, Hurts isn't the best stack because that offense just sometimes doesn't pass, it's still enough to be a tiebreaker for me. But yeah, your question about what was it, player takes? Oh yeah, about have I had any?
Yeah, I'm assuming no.
Like this, to be honest. But usually it's just a ton of trades, but I usually do have it's like third round or so drafts. I haven't done an auction because it's hard to get enough people to feel confident to do an auction.
Yeah.
I haven't done a startup draft all year yet, so I've been saving all my new leagues for Dynasty leagues that we need to pick off.
Join the Discord. We don't know exactly what it's gonna look like. We say that every week. Maybe we're building some it's a little mysterious, exciting. I don't know.
Yeah,
or maybe we haven't talked about it really. But join the Discord. Link in the description. It is happening. Okay, even if it is happening. 2 weeks before the season, we gotta crank them in. It's happening. My first non-auction startup in 2 years now, and it feels weird. I really want to do an auction. I've only done auction redrafts. which I actually love. I love auction redraft.
Auction redraft.
Yeah, like that is so
Let's
much more
see.
enjoyable than just doing a linear snake draft for me.
I do feel like auction redrafts good because it's so hard to trade. Like in the
Yeah.
redraft league, you can go out and do what you want, which is nice. Okay, so I'm back on the clock. I'm looking at. I think I'm leaning probably another wide receiver because I know it'll be a long time to get another shot at it. And a lot of people already have quarterbacks, so I don't think there's going to be a massive run at quarterback. So I can probably get at least a decent-ish option for my QB2. Um, Given that there's not a ton of options at wide receiver I love, but I'm probably just going to go T. Higgins because I feel like it gets really gross once you get just a few more down. Then it gets to that Zay Flowers, DJ Morris. Like, I don't want to touch those guys if I can get a T. Higgins, AJ Brown tier guy.
Mm-hmm. So you're
that's
saying that if you were in this 4th round and hadn't drafted a receiver yet, you would be feeling like a little gross, and not really liking your current startup. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I'd be feeling a little bit about my standing, but I do think a certain manager at the 410 has got a few tricks in his bag. So I'm not concerned about you.
I don't know. I think the thing is, when you do this, and maybe this was just a good thought experiment, just so that Will has something to talk about. And what I'm talking about is complaining about how bad this Dynasty team would be if this was a real league that I was putting together. Maybe it's like a little puzzle, you got to solve it. But I just feel like when you do stuff like this, and I even think this when I take one running back, like if I am taking a Gibbs or a Bijan or Genty or something like at the early second after I've taken a quarterback or whatever, I just feel like you have to make the decision that like 2 aspects of your team are going to suffer like immensely. And for me, it's like tight end is just like out of the question for me. There's just like no world where I'm taking any of these like Sam Laportas or whatnot, just because I have so much ground to make at the other positions. So obviously I'm going to lock in JT here. No, I think
Quarterback still on the board.
Quarterback wise, Henderson's still on the board. I'm not even clicking on the
there's no
here.
reason to look.
The wide receiver, like I almost feel like I am boxed into like having to take a receiver here, and I do really like Worthy, a tiny bit more. He would be like at the tail end of the receiver tier that just went right before for me. Quarterback wise, I don't feel like I'm gonna get a value just knowing this room. I'm gonna take Worthy here.
Well, you can also see what comes around to you at the 5-3 as well. Like you might be like, okay, there's a couple quarterbacks I can live with. Let me lock in at least one young upside wide receiver that I can build around. And then, like this is a team where it's like you're probably going to end up taking like a Davante Adams or the Tyreek Hills or the Stephon Diggs' type, trying to round out some sort of, consistent wide receiver room. Given that you don't really have to worry about running back at all. And you do have Bo Nix, which is a decent, decent upside guy at the 3-3. So
yeah, I think this is the kind of team where I'm hoping, like obviously I talked about like removing tight end from my mindset if I would ever start a team like this. And to me, a little bit is kind of like that QB2, potentially a tiny bit, just to try to make up the ground and like really hope. I don't think Dak is falling as much as he is in like the Dynasty Daddy ADP or like in whatever ADP value ranks that you're looking at, but just like whoever of the and there's a couple more. Like I don't even want to invoke the name of Aaron Rodgers in the 5th round of a Dynasty startup, but that is a quarterback who could be in my super flex position. Like that is just I have to say that when you start your running backs. Gino's forgotten. I love Gino. I just took Gino at the I'm gonna pull up my startup board here. See if I mess with anything. Laporta goes. Man, CD, Amonra, JSN. You can kind of afford to. I'm not even a big Laporta guy, but man, just look at the Baker flexibility you have when you have a sexy
Baker was also literally what, like I think QB6, I think QB5 or 6 last year. So if you're hoping
even better
Baker
than that?
can still be. He might have been. It might have been like 2 or 3, or I mean, not 2. I think it was like 3 or 4. 'Cause I think it was
Yeah, QB4 on the
Lamar,
sleeper,
Jaden
but
Daniels, and Josh Allen.
yeah,
Obviously, it depends on format, but
yeah.
that those were kind of the consistent top 3.
Mm-hmm. You know who's also a great? I mean, I don't know how far Fields would fall, but Fields is also another kind of like perfect quarterback for this kind of team. When you start running back. Obviously,
About
you're
your
buying
guy
in on
Anthony
competing.
Richardson.
Exactly. Man, Travion falling farther than I would expect. I
I
don't know if I
know.
have the cojones in me to
Triple
take it.
tap it. Triple tap.
If I'm triple tapping, I'm just balls to the walls. I'm taking CMC, and I am beating every other
That's true. I mean,
running
CMC would
back
be
room.
a great flex situation. I mean, too, the thing that's nice about this is you can all like in a real league, you could always say, okay, my team, well, I could tear down off GT. I could tear it down off
Mhm.
of Bijan. I mean, like there's always more things you can do. You're
Yeah,
not like it's not like best ball with no trades, or it's just like, well, like this is it. Like I gotta hope this team does well.
I do like a lot of the wide receiver values too, so I don't feel too boxed into taking one of these guys. Um,
Mhm.
Honestly, like this, I just talked about like waiting on
Ooh,
Fields
buzzer beater.
or
There we go. Yeah.
yeah, waiting on Fields, but I do like T Law a decent amount. And these wide receivers, like, yeah, you might look at the team and be like, Will, you just have to suck it up, take your receiver pick, like you have to start 3 of them. But to me, it's like, man, Devonta Smith. I mean, not all the way down through, because obviously there's certain wide receivers I wouldn't want to take on this team, but like all the way through
Mhm.
Pickens, JMO, even like
Well, we'll say
Judy.
if you're concerned about your wide receivers, Ray is still not taking a wide receiver. He just took Christian McCaffrey, so you're not the only one that's
We're gonna
hurting
be
for wide receivers
we're
right
gonna be
now.
fighting for Josh Downs at the
In Darnell Mooney, the Darnell Mooney.
I
You
love
guys got
Darnell
to arm
Mooney.
wrestle.
I'm a big Darnell Mooney guy. Okay, so so keep in mind I had started Purdy Goff, and I took Geno at the 10-8. Anthony Richardson went right after at the 10-9. Right around Deebo Samuel at the 10-11. And then I feel like maybe you wouldn't be disappointed in me, Jeremy, but I did take Tyler Shuck at the 13-4.
I mean, he's probably going to be a starter for a decent
Thank you.
amount of the year.
Took him after Najee Harris. That made me feel better about taking that pick in a dynasty startup is when I see Najee Harris
me
go off the board.
To me, about Shuck is like if you take him, I feel like you need to be starting him. Like I'm like that's why I like in a lot of dynasty drafts I don't want to take him. Dang, Cody just keeps sniping me here. I wanted to get Derrick Henry on this.
This is a spooky team. JJ, Nico, Kyron Henry.
Yeah, that's a good team. Okay, so at this spot, I feel like I'm probably going to try to snag some sort of running back or quarterback production and lock it in. Given the teams ahead of me, 2 of them have quarterbacks. I feel like I can probably wait. Maybe Johnny P. Obviously, everyone's listening to me think, but I'm thinking I can probably survive if one quarterback is taken.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to look at some sort of running back production that I feel good about. Man, I don't know where I want to go. I go back and forth. I'm going to take James Cook, even though I've been trashing him a lot. But I think him, Brown, Harvey, all range to me. So locking in Cook, I at least have some sort of. Hey, maybe he scores just as many touchdowns as, but probably not. But still, he should be a decent low end RB1 upside type guy. So I don't feel terrible.
And I do. I mean, yeah, the holdout stuff or whatever, he's back at practice. Like I think more often than not, these like weird, awkward situations that are contract related for productive players and end up resolving in Cook getting, whatever, 2-3 year deal or something.
Yeah, I imagine they'll sort themselves out in some sort of way.
All right, let's talk about it here because we saw the pick come through. Tyler Warren. This is a So 0.75 tight
You were
end
just
premium.
complaining about the 701, right?
I I
You were just
felt
like,
I
man,
felt
I
dirty.
had to bite the bullet.
I did feel dirty doing it, but I did want to share, and I just saw the future where I'm like, wow, like they're scheming touches for this guy just because they watched a lot of the Penn State highlights, and he's just a big old George Kittle bowling ball when he catches the ball. I think
I
he's
hate him at
underrated.
all. I do think he. The hard part for me is just tight end as a market is usually depressed,
Yeah.
where it's like you do literally have to be. And I know someone, if they're in here, shouts to you, left a comment on my video, and they're like, "Hey, look, what was Ben Johnson's first pick as the Browns head or the Bears head coach?"
Yeah.
Like, and he's probably going to use him a lot. And I'm like, yes, but he's also, is he going to use him enough to where
Hmm.
it's like, oh, like a tight end that actually has any sort of market that I can trade him for or use him as a play. Like that's why to me it's like if I'm missing out on like one of the elite guys. I mean, even now, like if you look at Laporta last year was valued like a Bauer and McBride, but like even now this year it's like Laporta. Like if you go in, like imagine this draft's over, you take Laporta and you say, hey, will you trade me Trevor Lawrence for Sam Laporta? You're probably like, I'm all right, man. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to move a tight end because you probably already have an answer that you feel all right with.
Oh,
And that's the thing for me.
how about the double tap? And this is kind of an
The
interesting
double
build.
tap is nice.
I mean, if you're talking about the two rookie receivers, two rookie tight ends, and you got Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, I don't think this is necessarily going to happen. Like, I think you can turn this team around into a competing team that's reasonable. But I will say I always feel sad when I throw away a Josh Allen QB1 QB2 year. All right, what do we got here?
You don't get many of them.
32 seconds on the clock here.
I know. I'm going back and forth between quarterback, running back. A lot of the tight ends that do have upside are off the board.
You pushed QB around the corner.
Do I want to trust? Do I want to take a shot on kicking the can with that stuff? Maybe I will. But I don't love a ton of the running backs in this range. Like, am I going to settle with a Chuba or someone like that? I don't know. That being said, since we are on the buzzer, I'm gonna go Chuba. Bets. I was hoping like a Harvey or someone would fall. To have a little bit of that upside. But to me, Chuba's a pretty safe bet. And I made my other picks that I do think have higher upside in the Hurts and Brown and Higgins and players like that. So to me, I just need guys that can slot in that running back, do their job. If they do better than that, cool. And Chuba and Cook are both guys that I was hoping someone like like a Jacobs or a Henry would fall to me so I have that home run hitting upside at running back. Unfortunately, I don't, but I can live with that. And if I'm looking at the quarterbacks, it's also one of those things where it's like a lot of these teams have two quarterbacks, are already highly invested in quarterbacks. And it's like, am I okay with the idea that a bunch of these teams are probably going to be like, oh, I need a wide receiver, I need a running back, I need other positions. I don't need a third quarterback in the sixth round. And I feel like I can probably play that game versus saying, yes, I need to pick a different player. Like I want to try to make an uneven roster and say, hey, if my QB2s are Anthony Richardson and Geno Smith, like cool. Like I will live with that versus having to roll out. I don't even know, like freaking Darnell Mooney as my wide receiver 3 or something. Dang. No shade.
It's just shade was received because that's we're looking at Darnell Mooney wide receiver 2 for me at this moment. So I will say the one thing I will say about 0.75 tight end premium doesn't matter. I'm going to say this: yes and no. It does not. Obviously, the no to it not mattering. So yes, it does matter if you do that backwards. For the McBrides, the Bowers, like the George Kittle games, like the monster tight end games, it very much matters when you feel it. Generally does not matter after that range. I agree. But I believe that people think it matters. And that's my biggest thing. And that is partially why I ended up taking Warren, is because I saw the future. And Will's getting a nice payout when Tyler Warren has 6 for 80 and a touchdown week 4. Now,
yeah, I could see. I will say I do think Tyler Warren does have a lot of upside if Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones kind of utilize him in a significant way.
Yeah.
What are you thinking here? Don't want to cut you off.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually would have considered Terry. I think like I don't want it to sound like I was talking too down on Terry, and I feel like 6'10" in a startup for someone who's about to get a contract extension for what I expect to be a decent performing offense would have been solid. Not a big Zay Flowers, DJ Moore, like this range. I would probably just try to push receiver a little bit more, which makes me feel a little bit dirty about taking T-Law at the 5-3 when I could be looking at Goff or Dak here. And this is why I have been trying to play the little game. I'm not even considering tight end. Kenneth Walker here at the don't hate Kenneth Walker here as Will's we might get a little crazy here. Thoughts, chat, on getting a little crazy here?
I mean, there are 2 flex spots.
I do
will
like
say too,
I do like Ken Walker, and I think he probably
I know.
Go ahead.
I know chat was giving me. I know John P and Ray were giving me some crap about taking Chuba over Kenneth Walker. I mean, I think they're similar tiers. I do think Chuba's a little underrated.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned about a Rico or. I mean, you can say the same thing about Chardonnay, being like, "Oh, Chardonnay's going to take Walker's, touchdowns or whatever." That being said, I mean, I do think traditionally I would probably say Walker's ahead of him. Probably a little bit of Panther bias coming out of me. Talk to me when the Panthers are 0-5 and we've scored 14 points in 5 weeks, and then I'll be like, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I think both of them are similar. I just feel like the Panthers' offensive line is very good, so Chuba doesn't have to do a ton to really get those extra yards.
Mm-hmm.
With Kenneth Walker, he could get traded. We don't really know what's going on there.
Yeah. Man, I'm just looking at all these teams that I would much rather have that got to push quarterback and get Dak at the 6'11", Goff at the 6'12". Will's very sad. But it's okay because we're powering through and we're testing, right? So right here, 3 running backs. Got my quarterback spot filled out. I'm not even looking at tight ends. This range, I like
running back, man. Mixon's available.
Mixon is available. It's definitely going to be wide receiver here. A lot of these guys are pretty similar to me. Like, I'm not totally out on DJ Moore. DK just got the Aaron Rodgers signing. Once again, like, this is kind of why I like pushing this range when I hit that in drafts and like take running backs or quarterbacks. Just because DJ Moore versus a lot of other wide receivers, not a big difference for me. Let's say he gets his act together, huh? He starts smiling.
Hope so. I hope so. Starts smiling.
He's starting to nod his head at practice. Ben Johnson saying something, and he's like, "Yes, I hear you. I'm listening."
I did sit one row behind DJ Moore's mom at a Panthers game once. There's our.
What's the you got any intel, or was that the intel?
That was it. Yeah, that was it. I mean, that was like 4 years ago.
The one thing I will say in support of the tube, and this is a guy who would probably weapon to my head take Kenneth Walker as a Michigan State guy, who also just likes the upside. I think we probably won't see as many of these 28 for 153 games with how the backfield is shooken out at this moment. But would not surprise me if we see still a decent amount of these like 15 to 18 carry range and he's getting 4 targets. And that is definitely 6'4" production in a startup.
Yeah, and I think too, another thing is I do expect the Panthers had a historically terrible defense last year, which goes to negative game scripts. You got to throw more. We're going to be, ideally the Panthers defense isn't going to be letting up 6 yards per rush. So I do think Chuba will continue to get some work. And I do think that will have a certain. I mean, I think committees are just the way it is now, especially when I'm looking in the 6th round. I do think if this is a real league, I probably. But got to give Chuba his shine sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kenneth Walker with the ankle injury. But my thing with the Kenneth Walker
status spooked me.
Yeah, that's just like I don't think they've taken it off Kenneth Walker. And hey, do I just will need Kenneth Walker? He can. I'll take the 10 games from Kenneth Walker I'll get this season.
Okay,
All right.
let's
Any wonky picks? Any great? Let's do great and wonky. All right. 7-8. Mike Evans. How we feeling?
I'm thinking right now.
Banger. JJ.
As a
Nico.
pick,
Mike Evans.
yeah, man, I think that's a good range. I mean, you're getting at this point, you're trying to scoop up any of those like older guys that are just gonna crush.
Yeah. Let's everyone
And
take
that's
all
why.
the quarterbacks. You know do you know in like you ever play like Smash with your friends and it's like
Oh yeah,
4-player free for all and they're like, oh, Jeremy still has 3 stocks, like everybody targeting him. We need to start doing that in startups when somebody's really pushing quarterback and be like, oh, Jeremy's got a good team but only one quarterback, like everyone
stop hoarding the quarterback.
Fields start Tua, come on. This is why I mean I my last startup I did, I almost want to pull up the startup just so that I can say that this isn't me. This team that I'm building, this is not me, guys. I don't want to do this. This is for you, for science. Because Will's other startup, he went Chase Puka Nico.
I thought you were always you're the like you're like two elite RB strategy. That's the only way to go.
Yeah. I trade up to the 1-5 to make sure I can lock in Bijan. I throw in a first.
You trade up. Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, he's going to take Chase. And you're like, Jahmyr Gibbs.
The Lions fan in me. I got to figure out a way. I've got a cool, shout out to my wife. I've got a sweet Detroit Lions decal behind me. I also have a massive TV I just put up today. And none of them are being shown in the camera. Maybe I'll get some like Lions highlights playing back there or something.
You can do it. What Ray does from DD Fantasy Football. He always puts like the thumbnail of the previous video back there, like a little advertisement.
Getting over.
I put the 8-1.
I assume that's Chuba. Top 10 if you can stay healthy. The classic. All right, let's do an all-time if he can stay healthy tier list. What is the all-time if he can stay healthy? I mean, all-time we'd probably have to go far back. It was Julio for a minute. Do you remember the Julio seasons where it was just like, oh man, like I'm not getting 24 fantasy points this week?
Yeah, the Julio. I mean, I feel like it's like Christian McCaffrey, right? I mean, that's got to be.
Yeah.
Like, McCaffrey's got to be the guy.
All right, here we go. Okay, Dynasty Daddy. So he's got 3 running backs here. No QB2.
I got a pretty decent. I'm looking at quarterback. I think this is getting to a range where I don't want to like kick it too much further. I feel good with like a Geno. I feel good with like a Tua, Stafford. Like I can live with those guys as my QB2s.
Mm-hmm.
I think given what is going on in the world, I'm gonna go with. This is tough. I'm thinking I'm going. Fine, I'll take. I don't have Tua on any team, so.
I don't hate to take your medicine pick. I mean, at the 8-4.
It's a take on medicine. Yeah. I wanted Adams to be 100% honest. That was like.
And then Cody rips him.
Cody's on the same wavelength there. But I was just like, man, like I can't go a whole like 20 picks or so and be like stuck with a bunch of random guys, right? Like I was like, let me take a guy, at least I have a guy that I can walk in and then I can figure out the rest. Now I'm not like desperate for a quarterback. I can find other older elite-ish potential wide receivers, and then kind of build out from there.
It is sad looking at a team that started wide receiver QB having a much better competing roster than my double running back start. It does make me sad, but it also makes me happy that I don't start my dynasty startups like this. Oh, real quick here. Actually, is it real quick? See, let me know the format. I want to give you a great answer on this because I don't want to just answer straight up without knowing the format. 3 firsts and TJ Hawkinson for Brock Bowers.
That's true. Yeah. I would say in a vacuum, I'm definitely taking that because Hawk is also like a difference making tight end to begin with, right? You're not talking about a scrub.
Did you or Becca get my no scrubs reference I put in? It was like 2 videos ago.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
That was a good one.
I appreciate it. It was probably just you two that got it. All right, Ray here, my fellow pushing wide receiver brethren. Got the 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, and started Bowers. Honestly, he's kind of landing the plane a little bit, I will say. For somebody that didn't take a wide receiver until 6'9", the plane is being landed.
You definitely don't have the elite wide receiver upside, but again, like that's what those early picks are for. Is you take your elite guys, but starting to just hammer, soak up that middle range wide receiver 2 upside guys.
That's my pick.
Yeah, that's how you build it out.
That's my pick. Will? I'm looking, unfortunately, just the way the team is built, and I hate doing this, but I do think when you start the way that I started and built the way that I built, you are pushing yourself to competing. I'm seeing the Davante Adams and Tyreek Hills. I'm seeing the Davante Adams, Tyreek Hills go off the board, and for me, I just don't want to miss out on what I would deem to be good enough competing production at the wide receiver position. So unfortunately, I think I'm stacking it up with gonna get an extension soon, Cortland Sutton.
Dang, you gotta go with the other run.
I'm not worried about David Montgomery, but would not surprise me at all if we see this split a little bit more split to the Gibbs side. And I
still feel confident about him.
Oh yeah, me too. I think not in a negative way.
He's underrated as a pass catcher as well.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Agreed. This is on the Bowers question. Ooh, what's the spot to take A-Rich? 11th in a startup?
What you thinking about that?
I mean, it's a risk tolerance thing, and I think there's like starters is kind of interesting too, because I think in like shallower leagues, I don't mind taking the A-Rich bet when like my roster is sick and set by, the 9th or 10th round. But I will say the startup I was just in, I did take Geno over A-Rich at the 10-8, and A-Rich went at the 10-9.
I will say, Soapbox, they did take him as a project, and then they were like, "Oh, like start instantly." Like I'm beyond frustrated with how they managed him, because like the dude played 15 games before the NFL. Like you got to give him some time, and it became just like, "Oh, we're just gonna toss him in." He should have easily sat for a whole year. So yes, he is a project, but they haven't been treating him like it, and now everyone's job is on the line. So it's literally like you have to hope he goes to a different team to actually get the patience of he's a project. So unfortunately, that's just the Colts being bad.
All right, this is the kind of pick I feel like I gotta lock in for. QB wise, probably looking at you got Geno, Stafford, A-Rich. Oh, I do hate seeing Godwin go. Godwin and Pearsall, I definitely would have considered here.
Yeah, those are some good late rounds. Wide receivers, what you thinking here?
I'm definitely still looking at wide receivers. I mean, this is why I like pushing running back too, is like being in the 9th, 10th round, and you still have Pacheco, Swift, James Conner, even Brian Robinson, Tony Pollard. I scroll down and see Aaron Jones. I don't hate the 9th, 10th round for Geno.
Yeah, because you
taking my boy.
Okay, you do have two. Okay,
I do have 2 quarterbacks.
Down.
I'm a big Wan'Dale Robinson plus guy.
Wow,
Danny Dimes gonna lock him. Mooney? I do love Darnell Mooney. No, and I definitely tried to push downs in my last startup to the 10th round, thinking that we'd get some ADP loves. He's on the board at the 11:01. A-Rich. Oof. Yeah, I mean it's definitely. I mean it's a risk tolerance thing, and then it's a what do you lose when you lose thing compared to the other players you would take, right? So if like you're choosing to take A-Rich because of the way your team's set up versus like Steph Diggs in the 12th or 13th or whatever, like, okay, whatever. But to me, when it's like some of these receivers are still on the board, quarterbacks that are starting games for the next 2 to 3 seasons potentially. Really like Downs. Danny Dimes looking like they would starter. I like Downs as well too, and I think he is one of those receivers that like you just look at like a lot of these players in these range, and you think about, all right, week 1 you get a 7 for 80 and a touchdown. Oh, sorry, I was about to shut up and let you talk about your pick.
No, it's fine. I mean, at this range, I'm just trying to get value, right? And to me, James Conner in the late 9th is a steal.
Speak of the devil. I've got my startup board up here that I was referencing for where Gino went.
Okay. Yes.
That ding you just heard, I didn't have the sound off on this one. How about snap pick Wan'Dale Robinson going off at the 15-9? Bang. Bang.
Wan'Dale Robinson is like PPR dream. It's like 13 catches for 20 yards. And you're like, how did that even happen?
All right, Trey Harris.
It is interesting to see how far like these second round players that everyone gets hyped about fall when you do a startup. Because like you're all like, oh, like Cam Scatteroo and then Higgins, and then you're like, well, like, do I really want them, or do I take like a Judy or a Downs, or like when you actually just have a list of them all, and you're like, which one do I take? It kind of changes your perception of a lot of those guys in that range.
Yeah. See Mark Andrews go here. And I was going to say no flame, no CBK flame, because my startup team is ASS. But I was just about to talk about my startup that I'm looking at up here, where I did take Tyler Warren. And my mindset on tight end is like, I don't care how far what I deem to be values at the tight end position, like rank wise, are falling. Like I have made my decision that like Tyler Warren is like my tight end egg basket. Obviously I talked about like the value, like wanting to move him, but I still believe in the principle of I don't care about the tight end position. So I would be pushing tight ends down even farther, but maybe CBK's he's got a little tight end horde,
I know
see how this year's pan out.
Sweat a little bit.
People are starting to look at people are seeing Kyle Pitts as the top tight end name on the sleeper ADP. All right, let's hear it. I'll give you the full 50 seconds here to talk through the Dynasty Daddy game plan.
I mean, I don't have a tight end yet. I don't have a tight end. 4 running backs, which I feel pretty good about. Two guys that are older but RB1 upside. 2 guys that are younger. Kind of lock them in. I have a lot of value at the high end of wide receiver position, so I don't feel desperate there. It does become like a range of like how, if I do want a wide receiver 4 or like someone that I can potentially play, I probably need to make that move relatively soon.
I see your boy on the board right here, but I don't know if it's too early for you.
I think I'd probably take it. I think Jacoby Myers, my guy, lock him in. I feel confident starting him if I need to, during bye weeks or whatever. Don't want to hold a ton of wide receivers. I don't really like to have a lot of them. But if I do have a guy in this range, I want it to be a guy starting. Yeah. And that's why, like a Myers, I was also thinking like a Jennings, like maybe a Cup, maybe like a Calvin Ridley, a Darnell Mooney, like a guy that's like not flashy or sexy, but a guy that has. The last thing I want is a bunch of like wide receivers that have fake value that can't just cut, but aren't actually scoring me anything.
Yeah. Brian Robinson. We'll do a little Cody team check here. So we're starting to fill out the first bench slot. 15 rounds is how deep we're going. So just 5 bench spots here. So everyone can take their favorite 15th round value.
I do love this, like Cody's team with the 2 high-end wide receivers. Lock in Kyler. Then you get 2 of the a little bit older, especially with Henry, but probably going to be RB1s. Then you get Kittle, great value, probably going to be a tight end, top 5 tight end.
Yeah, they could have
And then you also, if you sneak in and get Evans and Adams, older guys, similar to kind of how I played the running back, be top 12 at their position. Adams and Evans could totally be that way at the wide receiver position. And kicking the can at quarterback, which, I mean, in hindsight, maybe I helped, bit the bullet too soon with taking Tua in the gate, considering that Stafford and Geno and Darnold fell.
Yeah.
But, I think kicking the can on Stafford there with the Kyler is a good duo.
Yeah. Cody, would this have been well, I guess, do they have the same? They have the same bye weeks. I don't know if you really care. I guess it would have been the triple QB bye week. But yeah, I feel like Geno in this 10th round is just like so money. Like I love Geno falling to
at the 9-12.
And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like to me, Geno just feels so similar to like I see like Darnold at the 8-12.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these quarterbacks that you're only giving probably like 2 confident seasons in. Like I don't get why Geno isn't in that boat. All right, let's take a look at the squad here. Kyle Pitt's still on the board. How do I get his name off what I'm looking at? All right, we got A-Rich still there. QB wise,
they're wanting you to take Kyle Pitts.
the rookie flyers. Tight end, I could see you could talk me into like taking one of these. Gonna give me production. I don't feel the need to take one of these running backs. Just with my start, but I don't love. I might go running back here just because I feel better about the wide receiver that'll come back.
Yeah, there is a big range of these wide receivers. So like you could probably live with whatever comes around.
I'm higher on Pollard than most. I do love the players that you click the blurb about them, and it's just like something that your redraft homies would read, and they would be off their draft boards. And it's like Pollard gonna split more with, and it's like, yeah, most coaches don't want to give one running back 20 carries a game, but
yeah, it's hard for a modern running back to really be a true bell cow. Like they're gonna be like, oh no, like what other running back do they have? I mean, we saw Tajay Spears. It's not like that's going to change. We've seen what that looks like. Yeah, I don't think they got anyone in the draft, if I recall.
Yeah, and John.
They got Mullins, but I mean Mullins is a late round flyer.
Yeah, and I've watched enough Cleo Mullins to not be too worried about that.
I do agree.
Yeah, Cody here this was in reference to me talking about just to be 1 week out. When I was talking about the by week 8, especially in Dynasty too, with how active trading is and how injury ridden the QB position can be. All right, so we do see a couple. So Ridley was one of the guys that I would consider looking at. I'm big on Jennings. I don't have a ton of Debo, but I don't hate the spot for him.
11. Yeah.
Yeah, I have been making the Juwan Jennings bet this offseason in best ball drafts, and just the expectation that potentially Ayuk injured at the start of the year. Like if I'm already like buying into a competing window and I need to like fill out the last flex spot or something, and I can get like a round 11, round 12 Juwan Jennings. I've been doing that, but I don't think any of those other receivers are bad picks. You could have talked me into Darnell Mooney. And I could have talked me into Darnell Mooney. Look at this blurb. I clicked the blurb. Come on, read this. Falcons to lean on Darnell Mooney this season. I mean, it's so bullish. No, for me, the Darnell Mooney thing is just I expect it to be pretty similar to last season, and that's like a pretty good situation for a wide receiver that's going in the a 27-year-old wide receiver.
How do you do with Penix there?
This
last year.
This last stretch of the season?
Yeah. I don't remember exactly when Penix started.
The Penix games were... We can do this pretty quick just to make sure. So this was the final 3. That Carolina game. I didn't Penix. What was there was a Penix thing that was like somebody asked about Drake London being underrated receiver or something, and he was like he won't be after this year. I don't know if he said it like he probably didn't say it as like conniving as I just made it sound, but something like that.
I just love the I think it was like when they
582
last year when they were like, oh, Kyle Pitts or Drake London, like, are they gonna have big years? And they're like, yeah, Drake London will. And it's like, but we also asked about Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, he will be
I'm
here
like,
potentially.
yeah, it was like the perfect type of response like that.
The Moon Man. All right, absolutely legendary story moment that I'm going to talk about after Jeremy picks here. We're getting to the 11th through 13th round. Will can tell his stupid stories from his leagues, but we'll wait for the Cody pick here and the first Jeremy pick. So this is going to be 11th round. This is the first bench if you filled out your dynasty roster that way, which don't worry about doing that in your startup drafts. So we've got 3 running backs, 4 receivers. And there goes Debo.
Debo,
like that.
Okay. Thinking. So Johnny doesn't have a tight end. So do I care to take one?
Jeremy's a Jonnu guy.
I am, and I'm like, oh, I do have Tua, so that's like interesting. But then I'm also like, I could be fine with like an Ingram or a Frymouth maybe, or Otten. Like, I think all of those are fine in this range.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if CBK is going to take another tight end. Always a wild card option there. I kind of like. I'll be honest. I feel like too down on Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah.
Just because like Cam Scatterby, I feel like he's starting to become a buy at this range. I also do like Tootin in this range as well. I think Tootin. I'm gonna honestly go Tootin. I feel like I was gonna say someone.
Which is it? 4th round running backs don't matter, or they do matter. You got to take your pick, Tracy or Tootin.
I'm just saying he like I think the gap between John, but the difference between like a Tootin and like even like a Caleb Johnson in terms of draft picks range is like not a lot. So to me, I don't know the backfield. Tootin has a lot of room to grow and gain value and gain a role there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take shots there and say I can probably kick the can a little bit on tight end.
And you can there's a very real possibility where you're 2 positive camp reports and 1 good preseason game away from being able to trade Tootin for whatever old tight end plus.
And like I can always buy a tight end. And that being said, like it came back around, and now we're in here, and then I'll just take Evan Ingram. At least no one can bend me over a barrel because I didn't take this pick. You know, like I at least have a roster that I can sleep sound, knowing that I pull up the sleeper preview and have all my picks and all my players.
I'm trying to remember the exact situation, but for some reason, I think it was a newer Dynasty league I was commissioning, and one of the league mates didn't understand how waivers worked and thought that they could free add a player and didn't understand the like fab system for every single day. So they thought they could add like Ray McLeod or something. Oh, I like the Rashid Shaheed pick. He's in that range with Mooney too for me of guys I like.
It's interesting to see how that will play out though without Derek Carr, because I know Carr kind of really elevated Shaheed.
Hey, Shuck, I saw a bomb during one practice clip bomb, so it's all figured out. The tight end turn was brutal. Yeah. I don't want to say anything because Will's plotting. Will is plotting. Let me plot Riley. Riley and Ray should, Riley will let me plot, and I think Ray will let me plot too. But no, so he was missing a player in his flex spot that was gonna be Ray McLeod for some reason, and he was like, Will, he was messaging me, he's like, man, like I wish he would have explained it. He was kind of mad, but he was also like, I also should have known how to work, so I'm not mad at you, so I get it. And then I said, you know what, Tom? Shout out to Tom if he's ever watching this. I said, I will trade you Darnell Mooney. Okay. So you don't have to make a waiver claim. It can be a normal trade, and it happens immediately. I traded him Mooney and a fourth for a third. And he Ray. Why you got to do that, bro?
There we go. Let's see.
Likely would have been the plane would have landed, and Will would have felt at least okay.
You're on the electric chair right now. You got to figure something out.
It's got to be Shador. No, this is tough. All right, I don't feel the need to take. I love Mooney, and I like some of these other receivers, but I don't feel the need to take them when I already took like Pollard, Jennings. I've kind of like filled out through that spot. Tight end wise, maybe I will do what I just told myself I'm not going to do. You ever do that? I don't feel the need to touch running back. I mean, Ken Walker, Pollard. Let's bring it home. We've been talking about Darnell Mooney enough for me to do that. Yeah,
there we go.
And then be done at receiver. And like tight end wise, like I mean, I definitely would prefer Mason Taylor, like rookie wise, but I feel like Mason Taylor, Ferguson, and then slightly less, but I can be talked into like Arroyo or Fannin. Feeling interesting about those guys.
I mean, Dallas Goedert's still there too.
Yeah, that's the name I was gonna say. Okay, I just silently hit the Q. 7 touchdowns. Is this true? Is that actually what the scoring like Vegas? Oh, fantasy football experts. I believe it.
It's gonna go to
I wonder what
to Alvin Kamara.
It's gonna be they're gonna have more. Kamara's gonna have more receptions than receiving yards this season.
He took Chris Olave. Curious to see where he wins.
I know somebody put Chris Olave on the block in one of my shallow leagues, and I feel like he's the perfect shallow league buy because it's a 12-team start 9, and to me Olave is the perfect like, hey, if this all goes to isht, like what do I really lose in a 12-team start 9, you know? And then what if I do have a back end wide receiver 1? So I'm gonna knock on the door.
Yeah, he's good in the shallow leagues because it's like the price isn't you're not gonna have to pay. And like if he does become a thing, like sure, cool. If he doesn't, then it's it's hard when you make a trade and it's a complete bust of a trade in a deep league because then you're like, man, I just blew a bunch of leverage on like freaking Deontay Johnson or something like that.
What do and we see Shuck here go with the 12-8. Yeah. What do you think the odds are that Spencer Rattler is the week 1 starting quarterback for the Saints?
Man, that's tough. I feel like it's probably like 40% or so.
Okay.
I feel like between him and like Hainer, it's probably 40%. And it's probably Shuck 60%.
Yeah,
I could see them being like, we'll give Shuck a couple weeks to just be on an NFL sideline and understand the flow of a game.
Yeah.
I could see them doing that type of thing.
Cody says 15%. That's probably where I would be too. But I think you would probably say, don't let me put words in your mouth. Don't let me put anything in your mouth, Jeremy.
But you're on the clock. You got 3 seconds.
All right, let's get Terrence Ferguson here.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm buying the FUD of the Rams were trying to trade up for Bowers. They were trying to trade up for a lot of people talking about Tedero McMillan. What if it was?
What can I say?
What if it was?
We saw the video.
What if it was Loveland potentially? What if it was one of those?
That's a wide receiver 1. It's happening.
Terrence Ferguson, wide receiver 1. No, I think okay. Don't let me put words in your mouth real quick before you're on the clock. But would you say even at your 40% that the leash is insanely short, especially having like early second round quarterback behind Rattler?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it'd be literally they start them because they just weeks of being like, here's an NFL game, here's what we do on the sideline, like just give them like
here's
without
the
just being like week 1, like just
here's the iPad.
Understand how things go.
Yeah.
Because Rattler and Hainer have both been there, both been thrown, have been thrown in. But I mean, if you're asking me like who's going to start most of the games, it's definitely going to be. There's no way it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I think to me it's the new coach situation. I think like for me, I bump the percentage down significantly when it's somebody took their guy, but I think we're in the same position. It's just a matter of week 1. So Yo, what's up,
Yeah.
Chuck? What's up, guys? Thanks for Discord advice yesterday. Well, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm gonna be way more active in the Discord, guys. So I'm gonna be popping in. If you have trade questions, I'll be in there. I'll be in there giving my take for better or for worse. Ooh, then we got Rodgers. See, that's a nice thing too
Always,
about
always for the better.
these nasty quarterbacks is Rodgers is a NFL starting quarterback. Even though I don't want it to be true, it is true.
I mean, he's got to be. I mean, they have like no other options.
All right, what are we thinking here? So we've got the pretty strong at running back.
Yeah, I kind of cleaned up pretty decently at running back at the end. Doesn't mean I won't end up taking another one because I don't really like the wide receivers.
Yeah.
My other thought was maybe I try to just take a quarterback like Wilson, get a QB3 type of situation. But I think honestly, given where everything is, Jaden Blue, I just feel like that Dallas situation is weird.
Yeah.
He could totally end up having a significant role just because last year Rico Dowell came out of nowhere and was leading that backfield. I mean, I know we saw him as like, a backup to Pollard the year before, but I could see him having a significant role in the starting to get these laser picks. Like, I want to have players have an upside to outperform their ADP and be players that if they do, I can actually just. And given that we have 2 flex spots, I 2 running back spots, I have to start 4 of these guys in theory every week.
Yeah.
So
and
if I can get some free weeks out of them, that's.
Yeah, and my Jaden Blue thing is I like prospect wise, I don't really believe Jaden Blue is like a real running back, but I think the stuff that he does, like I think I don't want to say worst case scenario, but I think he at least has a couple outs, and I think one of those outs is like pass catching weapon, and like that's why they drafted him and feel comfortable with this running back room because they have the classic the innings eaters, here's 10 carries Javonte, here's 8 carries Miles Sanders, here's 4 receptions Blue. Danny Dimes 14-3.
Danny Dimes. Well, I'll just accept my fate and take Russell Wilson here. He is, in theory, the starter. So I just need a guy,
in theory,
Mr. Unlimited. So I'll take it. I mean, I thought I get the Sanders pick. I was surprised Daniel Jones went before Wilson, but I guess I do think Daniel Jones, if he does play, does probably have a higher point per game upside, just given that he has the rushing floor.
Yeah, rushing. You probably feel, I mean, for better or for worse, probably slightly better about like the offense and situation. I mean, you do have Malik Neighbors for the Giants, but my boy Russell Wilson's been known to eat some sacks, and let me tell you, double snipe on Dimes and Russ. Dude, the crusty QB turn at the 13-14 to like round out a great competing roster is that's the way to do. You can't trade around in the startup. Do you think? What's up, Kirby? Do you think in the next 2, I assume years, one of these guys becomes a very good wide receiver 2 in Dynasty? Jameson Williams, Higbuka, Waddle, Keon Coleman, or Ricky Pearsall?
Interesting.
I love Higbuka. I do like that you gave me a 2-year time frame on him. I think I really believe he's going to find a way to have a significant role this season at some point in the year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would definitely pick Higbuka. He also has the built-in value of like being the JSN, Romadou. Still buy into that. And he's in a good offense with Baker Mayfield and like to pass the ball a lot. There's a lot of reasons you can talk into that.
Yeah.
If I had to pick another one, I feel like if Waddle is healthy, I'd probably pick Waddle. Just because I do think the Tyreek Hill Dolphin scenario is coming to an end.
Yeah.
Probably in the next 2 years. And Waddle is still relatively young and still in that offense. And hopefully they'll figure out their offensive line so they can actually push, which would give Waddle more opportunities. But even Waddle's really good underneath. So I do think Waddle's just been kind of overshadowed by being next to one of the greatest wide receivers of the past decade.
Yeah, I do think, Waddle, I do like the Waddle pick. I think Waddle, situation-wise, I like to think of it in terms of, like, believability. I know it sounds like a weird word, but, like, people will believe that Waddle has arrived if you get a stretch of great Waddle games, right? Where I don't know if that's the case for Keon or Ricky Pearsall. I could see it for Jameson Williams. And then obviously Ibuka being a rookie is kind of like a different conversation than some of these other guys that we've seen at least 1 year from.
Yeah.
Great Stevenson pick.
The hard part I have
with,
with J-Mo is I just feel like J-Mo is so streaky, right? And if he can become a consistent guy, like then he's also next to Amon-Ra St. Brown and Laporte. Like there's just, I feel like he's kind of like a Waddle light situation of like he's next to guys that are just gonna out earn him in targets, unless if he like makes a massive step up.
Step up too. I was just talking about step up. I don't know why today. You guys ever watch Step Up? Sorry about that. We'll just do the nasty triple. We're pissing orange here at the end of the.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do when you're getting desperate. Big Diaz is giving you a shout out. I think we got a quote of the night.
He has. It's true. Yeah, it's not wrong. Probably Rodgers. As a Lions fan, I would like that quote to be pointed at Rodgers because it's also true for him. But no, 100%. I think the best part about it is it's true. I was actually.
That was a good quote.
I stand by it. I stand by it. I read it back, thought about it, stand by it.
Ooh, Ertz, Cody, that's a good snipe. I like the Ertz one.
Jameson be free agent in 26 though. Yeah, I think the Jameson situation will be interesting because obviously you like the Lions situation, but I mean, if a team is going to give J-Mo a contract and the Lions don't re-sign him, you got to think. I mean, you're at least people are going to talk themselves into, Rashid Shaheed as the floor for a guy like J-Mo.
You know what? I'm gonna do a homer pick here at the end. But I think someone that will probably outperform his ADP is our guy Adam Thielen.
Oh,
because I still feel like he's
dang,
kind of a walking 10 points per game, and I don't really need him to do much more. Like I don't need him to be a dynasty player. I just need points, and I don't have a ton of depth at wide receiver. I have my high end wide receiver. I have Myers, but
yeah, you hit running backs too, where you would have taken some of those depth receivers.
Yeah, like I was like, do I need a wide receiver 6 or 7? Not really. But can I get a guy that's probably going to score 10 points and be cheap? Sure.
I'm still laughing. Thanks for laughing. Laughed all day. Hey, I'm here for it. Hey, you know what? Got you. We got the full. Oh, there we go. All right, we're still figuring it out. All right. I kind of choked it a little bit. Yeah, I did choke it a little bit.
Will's working on his full screen.
Kind of like Russell Wilson choking out. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to probably doubling down a little bit. We're getting to the end of the draft.
He's workshopping new material. That's what happens at 11.
Will's bladder's filling up. Kirko Chains. Okay, so what's your Kirko take? Because kind of running out of spots to be a starting NFL quarterback this season, and it sounds like he's back at camp. And Kirk feels like the one quarterback who, I mean, all these quarterbacks want to start. Every backup quarterback that has started and is a veteran wants to start somewhere, of course. But doesn't Kirk feel like the one who just might just suck it up and be like, I'm going to be a great mentor this season at the very least?
I will say, if I had the guaranteed money that Kirk has, I'd suck it up. I'm not gonna there's not much I can complain about because the contract is going to burn a hole into their cap so bad that they're going to move him. And I think realistically, what will probably happen, week 8, week 9 will come along. A contending team will lose a quarterback for an extended period of time, and they're going to go to Kirk, and he knows that. So he's like, I'm just going to keep my head up, do everything above board, and then go just go ahead. I think he's a good stash, but I mean, I don't think he's going to be like. I do feel like all the seats have kind of filled. Yeah, and his contract is such an albatross. It's going to be so hard to actually find a way to make it work, unless if a team is so desperate. And that's where I think week 10, week 11, Jordan Love's banged up. They're like, okay, we need somebody. Let's bring in Kirk or something like that.
Yeah, and especially at that range too. I mean, when you're starting to push 15, 16, 17, and you're telling a story about some of these, round 4, 5, 6 running backs, or, these wide receivers that are probably irrelevant. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that contract's so big, it's going to be, and it's like, again, like, it's not like he's like, oh, I need to go get that next contract. Like, he got his big contract. He can just ride off into his son. Yeah. And if anything, I mean, he has kids and stuff. I mean, he can be like, hey, cool, I don't have to go out there and potentially get injured and deal with all this rehab. And, like, I'm sure his quality of life has gone up more, especially as he's older as well. So, I mean, there might just not be a ton of motivation for him to be like, let me go out and battle for this, given that I have 40 mil guaranteed or whatever, and just sit on the bench and coach up a young guy.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll touch on this real quick. We don't need to do a full crazy breakdown. Maybe we say something about these teams real quick. But 101 spot here. You get the Geno. I love that pick. I like the way you handle the tight end position too. I mean, Kraft 10-1. I mean, Kelsey 11-12 too. I don't hate just biting the bullet when you're already at that gross range anyways. It's like these upside handcuff running backs, and you're just like, suck it. I'll just take my old man Kels with Kraft there.
Yeah, I mean, I think once you get to this later rounds, like, you got to pick either upside players, like Kyle Williams or Sutton, or players that have the upside that could become a dynasty asset, or you need guys that just. And if Kelsey can just give you decent points for one season, like that's good for me. Like that's kind of what you take in the 11th round range.
I think we should all be grateful that we don't have to do dynasty startups this way, and that we live in a free country where we are allowed to have 8-hour timers and trade around and move future picks and buy picks to get to move back in spots and still get your guys. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm very grateful for it.
It is. You don't get stuck with some weird rosters. I'm curious, like, if we converted to like a sleeper league and put it through a Dynasty Daddy, like that would be fun. Like, see what team is
denied. I'm just kidding. We definitely could.
Will might be up there. I don't want to put like a random league that we delete into everyone's sleeper though. So
yeah, no, we can. Maybe in the future we do something like that and kind of break down too. Maybe it's like a little quiz for how well you can you can reach your. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the plane got. I will say I like all these players obviously, so I can talk myself into this plane being landed. But I just can't do it. I can't stare at this team. The more I look at it, the sadder I get. But I think I at least can tell myself that this isn't real. This is like a dream, that this is a team that Will drafted. And I get to wake up tomorrow and this team doesn't exist in any of my on my sleeper app. So
I think realistically,
good call.
I'm wondering if like you would feel better if you didn't take like a mix.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you have rather taken a wide receiver, like taken it and Travis Hunter, and then kind of rolled with, like, still with T-Law, but like just substitute that out, and then you could have probably got Bryce Young or Darnold, or someone in the 8th or 9th.
Ideally, like, okay. I'll just say ideally.
Feel better.
Yeah, if Will did this for real and he, for some sick and twisted reason, maybe somebody stole my phone and drafted Bijan Genty at the 110 and 2-3 and like gave it back to me, and you're like, haha, like you're going to have to tell the commissioner to redo your picks. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. We're already at the 2-6. I probably at this 3-3 would have really been like, bang, who wants to trade back? Let me like fix my roster construction a little bit by taking 2 receivers in this range. And doing what you did here, maybe I'm able to trade back and get AJ Brown and Higgins. Basically, what you did exactly, and for some reason you wanted to trade up to get Bo Nix or whatever. You wanted to lock in your QB2, and then I get to be one of these teams, that ended up taking, Fields plus Geno, and I'm like, you know what, whatever. I will trade Bijan and Genty when Justin Fields isn't a starting quarterback in the NFL anymore. But at least for next season, I'm smashing. And it's, with Fields at QB, with Geno, with these running backs, with the wide receivers I traded back to get, I'd feel much better about that than whatever the hell this is that I'm looking at right now. I need to stop highlighting it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the nice part about Dynasty as a game is like if you'd be stuck. You'd be stuck pretty much with this team. You have to be like, okay, I have to find some value on the waivers. In Dynasty, it is like, okay, I have my future picks. I can kind of play it out. I can tear down off of a Bijan or a Ginty. Like the nice part is you do have 2 elite running backs, and people are going to want that. And you're going to be able to tear down and pick up an AJ plus or something for Ginty. You're going to be able to go get, a T Higgins plus or a Devonta Smith plus, and you could address it different ways. So it's not like doom and gloom, and that's one of the things with as long as you don't trade too many of your future picks, then you're like, oh crap, I can't really do much. But it's not like you overvalued certain players to an extreme. You just kind of got caught with your pants down, unfortunately, because you can't trade around, so you couldn't get that true
pick your spots
1-2 bang with the wide receiver.
And and that's the thing. You get so boxed in too. Like you feel like you have to lean a certain way when you lock yourself into two running backs there. I like that this just turned into a breakdown of no, Will, it's not as bad as it looks. The team that you drafted.
I'm trying to talk you off a cliff here. I mean, you're talking about Wilson eating sacks and drafting 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds. So
and this is what I'm saying, John P. I 100% this team can compete for sure. Like even this wide receiver room that feels a little bit shaky. I mean, it's Worthy, Moore, Sutton, Downs, Juwan Jennings, Darnell Mooney. Like I can piece together a competing roster that's going to score a ton of points with Bijan and Genty. It's just a matter of like the way I like to construct my rosters, like building through the receiver position and then just saying the fall off in running back production between even like James Conner to Ashton Genty for this one season lets me build through receiver, lets me build through one elite quarterback.
Taking Puka Nacua instead of Ginty, and then you're like, oh, okay. You would feel much better if you were like, okay, I have Bijan and Kenneth Walker are my 1-2 running backs, and then I have Puka, Worthy, DJ Moore. If you just switch those 2 players, I feel like you'd be like, okay, I can live with it.
Yeah, and then I don't.
There and Xavier Worthy is your wide receiver.
Right.
That's a little scary.
Yeah, and then in these ranges, I mean, I can take a quarterback and have pushed one of these versus being boxed into having to take, which I don't even feel too gross about these picks. Like Moore, Sutton, I think those are fine spots for like ADP value, whatever, with where they're going. But yeah, no good.
Yeah, nothing too.
Good start. Anything else you want to take a look at on this board before I full screen us and start breaking down the future P I'm going to take?
No, I mean, I think it's fun to do a startup. I haven't done any yet because I've been like, I've been saving myself. For all the dynasty leagues, or the dynasty daddy leagues, because I'm like, I know I'm already not good enough. I know I shouldn't admit this. I'm not good enough at being active in all my dynasty leagues. Just because the personal fight between me is like, do I message a dude on Sleeper for 3 hours to try to get a trade done because he wants an extra third, or do I add something to the site that thousands of people would like? And I'm like, well, I probably should do that. So then I end up just doing that. But I do want to do a bunch of. I don't want to spread myself too thin. But I am excited to deal with the startups with the Dynasty Daddy crew, especially as we get in these.
Definitely. And shout out to SD Bolts 7 here. Been using the site for a few weeks now. I appreciate all you guys do. I do want to say you should definitely appreciate more Jeremy than me. I appreciate that I'm lumped into you guys. You can appreciate the Dynasty Trade live stream stuff and the YouTube videos a little bit. Definitely help out with that. But all the site stuff is what is more than 100%, 110%. Jeremy, the reason I am on this live stream right now is because I was an avid user of Dynasty Daddy. Love the site. Shout out Jeremy.
I appreciate it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's cool to have people get excited. I mean, I get random messages and emails. I'll be like just randomly background noise, a different fantasy football show, and I'll hear Dynasty Daddy this or whatever, and I'm like, oh, it's crazy that to build something that it resonates with people is very motivating. So, and I'm hoping that we can get this YouTube channel. We got one sub tonight, so shout outs to that person. But we're pushing towards 2,000, so that should be a big milestone.
Definitely.
What do you think of Jaden Reed's trade value? Did we touch on this?
Ooh, we did not. Oh, this deserves a Jeremy full screen. Talk about Jaden Reed.
Oh,
no, it's fine. It's fine.
You just put me on the spot.
I just don't want to talk about Jaden Reed. I think you are. I think you probably have a more nuanced take on Jaden Reed than I do. I am willing to just kind of. Well, I guess where did he go in this startup? Let's maybe we go back there and look there. I mean, Jaden Reed at the 10-3. I mean, I'm fine with that for sure. Right next to Jacoby Myers.
I think the hard part is like Jacoby Myers is consistent, but the upside is with Reed. And I think you need to if you're rostering him, you need to understand his role of I don't know if I can trust this dude yet, but maybe I can. And the biggest concern for me was just that it wasn't the other wide receivers there. It wasn't they took Golden. The biggest concern to me was as the season went on, Jordan Love threw the ball less. And they just kept leaning more and more on the run. And that to me was the biggest concern. I do think part of it was the injury that Love sustained. So I was like, they can shift the load of the offense. I do like Jaden Reed. I think he's a good talent. I think he's probably undervalued because everyone hates him. But it's also someone that's if I'm trading for Jaden Reed, it needs to be a team or a team where I don't need him to score points. Where it's a 12-team start 9. I already have locked in guys. Kind of like the perspective of if I don't need him, that's fine. I can buy him, have him on my roster. It's kind of like this higher range dart throw that may become a more valuable player in the future. But it's hard to trust him going into week 1. I don't want to be starting him anywhere.
Yeah, I'm just gonna click Cody's chat versus talking for 3 extra minutes to basically say what this says in one sentence. But yeah, I think the per route stuff is interesting, and I really want to buy into it. But to me, I am of the belief that teams show us what they want to do, and I feel like what the Packers have shown us they want to do with Jaden Reed, not just through last season, but through drafting Matthew Golden in the first round, is not something I get excited about. But I will say it's something I'm willing to buy in the 10th round of a startup for sure. So I'm fine with Jaden Reed. I just probably am allocating my draft pick elsewhere based off how I'm setting up my team, building through elite wide receivers, and then not having to take a Jaden Reed in the 10th, even though that's fine,
Yeah, I mean, I do think the passing, to what John P said, I do think the passing will improve, and I do think too, the Golden stuff, I see him more as a Watson replacement who's on his last year and is coming off of an ACL. So we're not going to see much of Christian Watson. If you look at all the advanced metrics, Golden's more of he's not a high volume target. He's more of a big play, stretch the field type of guy. So I think Reed could totally improve, but yeah, I mean that the concern to me was more around just the passing volume that the offense had, especially in the second half of the year. And that's why you would literally one of my favorite things is pull up the sleeper player page, and they have the chat icon, and you click it, and it's just a bunch of people that are I need Jaden Reed to score 35 or something crazy. And I love just going into there for controversial players like Jaden Reed when they get 2 targets and have 1 touchdown, and I'm I need 1 more target. I need 1 more target. I need 1 more catch for this dude. And just watching people break down over players. Because that's the hard part with Jaden Reed. If you actually start him, you are going to be in the sleeper chat yourself being please, God, something happen. And I just don't want that. And that's the hard part with the volume.
Definitely. Told my wife to sub just for the Will quote. She doesn't even like football. Hey, appreciate it. That's what we need. I just gotta make more sack jokes. More sack jokes is what I need. Everyone tell your significant others. I don't know if I'm being too I don't want to make too many assumptions, But I'm sure we got some significant others out there. You know, everyone watching Dynasty live stream at 11:15 p.m. Eastern time.
In the middle of June. That's how you know.
The significant other, he or she is sleeping. You know, listen to a crime podcast or something. That's what mine's doing.
Sleeping to a crime podcast sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah,
that would be like nightmare.
Maybe not a podcast. It's on like the TV in the bedroom. It's still weird, but hey, I don't think I can make fun of weird hobbies too much.
Yeah, no, I mean,
as I'm 2 hours and 15 minutes into a Dynasty trade show live stream on June 10th. I feel like Will skipped over my 26-101 joke. And do you take with the 101 and 26 though, Will? Because of your construction and all? You know, the 26, I don't want to do this right now because I have to pee. But that just, I think the people, I've heard so much about the 2026 class, people being out on it and being like really willing to trade picks. And I think we did this tangent last week where so much changes week to week that week to week, but college football season from the beginning to the end of players you don't expect, players that weren't even in the first round of mock drafts going 8th overall. But no, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing too, and the thing why I'm optimistic about the 2026 class is there's just a lot of quarterbacks. There's just a lot of quarterbacks that could sneak into that top range. And that's all we really need. Like, everyone's like, 2025 sucks. It's like, well, if you look at it now, everyone's like, oh, I like it. We have all these good running backs. We had all these really good landing spots. Sure, we didn't have amazing quarterbacks. But honestly, like, if we look at 2026, we're going to have more quarterbacks. We're going to have some running backs. Wide receivers are still going to establish themselves like Malik Neighbors, established himself in his last year. So let's be patient. We still also don't even know. Like, I don't think could come out. And, like, all of a sudden you're like, man, I shouldn't any 27 first because, some dude on Reddit told me to do it. Ideally, it's best to just hold your first if you can. They're going to gain value, even if the class sucks. Like, even with the Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett year, which was probably one of the worst years, that year still gained value as we got closer to the draft. People just want to make picks. So, like, just be patient. Just because there isn't a Jeremiah Smith that's doing something crazy doesn't mean that the class will be bad.
Agreed. We need to get you a piss jug. Yeah.
It would be like
you ever pee?
That'll be for the 24-hour stream.
Have you ever peed in a jug or a Gatorade bottle or something?
I have not, but I've also I work from home, so
That's fair.
I usually have my own bathroom.
I think mine was in college, and the Gatorade bottle was too small. Also, if you are pushing, like, here, word of advice to anyone potentially peeing in a bottle in a vehicle in the future: if you have to pee so bad that you're reaching for the bottle, like, be ready for the amount of liquid that is going to be coming out of your the stream's hitting the wall.
Oh my god.
27. I will say the 27 class, I am already excited about it for sure, but that does not take away from the 26 class. Oh shoot, I didn't know this. We're getting some Big Diaz lore. How did I not know?
Yeah, Big Diaz lore. That is interesting. Yeah.
Let's go.
I like learning more about the regulars.
I am what I actually am is not. I answer emails all day is what I do, but I get to sit in my office, so I get to pee in my toilet.
Yeah, it's the fun of a desk job.
I'm doing stand up. Yeah. We should do that. What do you guys got, guys? There is a YouTube video. It exists. I'm never gonna pull it up or force anyone to watch it or send any links out there because it's filmed in like 160p because it was on somebody's flip phone. But there is Will doing stand up at his college equivalent of SNL. And it's not bad. It's not good. but it's not bad.
Okay, this is a must. We got to find that. We need some internet sleuths out there.
All I will say is that it exists. I did a bit. That was the only way to do it. I was actually kind of nervous. So the bit was that I was like a nervous guy doing stand-up because I actually was really nervous to do it. 85?
Yeah, it wasn't even acting at that point.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Gosh. I'm so grateful that my job is just a little cute white collar job. Shout out to all the real men out there doing the real men's work.
That's a very much real job. When I'm like, oh man, I'm typing on the keyboard.
Susan, come on. I sent you the file yesterday.
I forgot my mouse. So I'm like, dang. Like I've been using trackpad. I'm like, this is the worst. It's not like I'm like not going 85 down the mountain. So
yeah, I broke my keyboard today. I spilled my drink on it. It won't work. It just kept typing P. So that's not good. That wasn't even a P joke. It actually that was actually what it was. It actually was just.
We're back to the Will stand up.
Do I need to watch The Wire? Have you watched The Wire?
I've heard it's good. I haven't seen it.
I heard it's very good. I
should watch it.
All right. What's up, Hater Man? I like this. The first message is my closing line.
Really, I think showing up again, Hater Maker.
I think I got drained because I haven't really done a startup mock. I know some people. Shout out to my brother. My brother's a big startup mocker. He'll do it with the computer too, which I think is sick. I think he needs help. Okay, he will do a full ass mock with the computer, and he's like, yeah, I don't think this is how the real draft will go. And I'm like, yeah, of course it's not how the real draft will go.
I will say I do have if your brother wants to live mock drafts with the computer,
yes,
you do them on Dynasty Daddy, but that is a feature. Yeah. But yeah, the live mock drafts by yourself is
He was trying to get me in it. He was like, you want to do this mock with me? Like just me and him. You know what's actually also sick and twisted? I'm in one Dynasty league that's completely free, which is also sick and twisted, but it's like with a bunch of guys from college. And I think maybe one of them doesn't like gambling, which I can respect and understand. You know, I get it. It's totally free. And it is my most active league by far. I am constantly getting trade questions and offers, and I'm like, guys, I barely checked this league. I actually won it last season, but they were doing they're like, who wants to do a mock for the rookie drafts next week? What? Wait, everyone, that's like, yo, everyone just tell me, everyone send your rankings for the rookies so that I know what the draft's going to look like. I thought that was insane. Shout out to Ethan, though. He's a cool guy.
That is hilarious. No, I mean, my first league was a free league on Free Flickr, and it's still going. I won it last year. It is not active. Now, every year, they're like, the commissioner sends out like a Excel sheet, and a bunch of other, like he does all this extra work. He does weekly rankings, and every year I'm like, can we move the sleeper and can we make it money? Like just $10, like just 20. Like I'm like,
even $2. No, I would care for $2 just to have something.
I'm like, I just have so many other leagues I'm looking at. Like when I'm setting a lineup, I'm like, do I want to open up a Flea Flicker app to set my one league in Flea Flicker? And I'm like, no, I don't. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to do it. And there's no money on the line. And it's a league that I just was inactive in. And I ended up with like a loaded roster. I have like CMC, like Barkley. I just sat with Nico Collins the whole time. Now Nico's good. I had same thing. Like I have Jamar Chase. I have like this crazy team. And it's like I don't get to do anything with it. It's just in this free league that I don't even check. And I just stumbled into an amazing roster.
Dude, I have my free league. I have a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson QB room. It's totally free and I don't care. And I won it last year. Oh, it makes you so mad. Who's your favorite stand-up? Well, it was a good question. I will say, I think Theo Von is so much funnier as a like podcast, just like conversation person than his actual stand-up.
Yeah.
I used to really like Dimitri Martin. Are there any Dimitri Martin fans? Very kind of like you like feel smart. humor, kind of awkward a little bit, but in a good way. Kind of like Nathan Fielder, if anybody, Bo Burnham, if he counts. Bo Burnham is very, very,
Nathan
very funny.
Fielder is good, yeah.
The if you
I'm
guys
a
are
big.
not caught up on the rehearsal, highly recommend
I need to
watching the
watch.
rehearsal. It is
I
so
watched the first
good.
season.
He is a genius. I turned to my wife when we were watching the second season of rehearsal, and I said that man is a genius. He is insanely funny. But also, I think you do have to
Yeah.
kind of appreciate that style of comedy.
Like
Sure,
Tim
Jane?
Robinson style, like
Yeah.
a little bit of the cringe. I love that.
Shane Gillis is funny. It's good Dynasty
Shane
AMA.
Gillis
I'm
is
digging
funny.
it. Oh yeah. What other
I'm a
stand-up
big
do I used to
Bill
watch?
Burr guy. I'm a big Bill Burr guy. I feel
Bill
like
Burr's funny.
he's just
Yeah.
decades of being hilarious. So
Who else? Man, I used to watch so much more stand-up than I have recently.
I know I did a bunch. Like I always have it on, but now I don't.
Fielder's great. He's
Now
very
it's
funny.
Dynasty pods. Now it's fantasy football and basketball.
Right. I was gonna say, Connor, I turned on my TV and I saw that a Stanley Cup Finals game was on. Did not click to watch it because I'm a fake hockey fan and only watch if the Red Wings are in the playoffs. But I thought about the anyone watching puck questions from Connor in the chats.
We're gonna get a anyone watching puck in like September.
Watching puck. No, we're watching the closing yaps, the final yaps. All right, we'll do one more. We'll do one more question. How about that? One more AMA question, and then I'm going pee. It could be anything.
I am not in Switzerland yet. Well, I will say that I am going to Switzerland
next
Friday.
Oh, Friday. Nice.
Next 2 weeks. So it will be the special edition of the Dynasty. It's going to be Will with the car keys doing whatever the hell he wants. So
I might just a full 2 hour AMA. Ooh. So this is the we got the confirmation this is the mother-in-law's location.
What's the confirmation?
Why is your background different?
This is the in-laws.
The in-laws.
If Connor watched the beginning of the stream, he would know why I'm blurry as all hell.
Come on, Connor, you're wasting our time. I gotta go pee. Used to watch stand up more. Now I'm just watching you guys and Ray and Shane shaking my head. Yeah.
We appreciate it.
I am slowly like cutting back on my other hobbies. Like Dynasty is like eating like other hobbies I've had. But I will say, Will, for God knows what reason. I can tell you the reason, but I probably shouldn't say it on a YouTube live stream. But I was running some routes. I was playing wide receiver for the Detroit Lions in my career mode in Madden. I used to do that all the time in college. I was the biggest. Everyone's playing like Ultimate Team. Will's just like clicking through all the stories, answering the combine interview questions. I don't know. Something wrong with me. 5v5
I think
Brawl?
we all.
Ooh, maybe I should watch.
Everyone wants Dynasty. Everyone always wants Dynasty in Madden to be better. I've never been the Ultimate Team guy yet. I think anyone playing Dynasty fantasy football is the one that's like, ooh, like how's the GM mode in Madden? Like, it's all about roster construction, building a team, all that stuff.
Nobody wants to draft offensive linemen. Everyone's taking QB, wide receiver, running back. All right, we're hitting the wall. Will's reaching for the Gatorade bottle as we speak. Any closing remarks? I'm gonna put you on full screen here for the Jeremy closing remarks. Blurry Jeremy. What's the outro?
Blurry Jeremy here. Next time you will see me live, it'll be in 3 weeks. I have vacation, but doesn't mean we are done. We got the Will. We'll have to come up with some branding or something. But Will is gonna be manning the show. I don't know if it'll be solo. I don't know if he'll bring other people. We'll figure that out. But we will still be here every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, bringing you trades, bringing you drafts, talking about Russell Wilson eating sacks and peeing in a bottle. There's no other show out there that does all of it. and that happens right here every single week. So we got if you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what more. That's the complete package. We'll stand up. If we hit 2,000 subs, we'll have
I'm down. Also not down. Nah, I'm trying to hit the Theo Von funny, where we're getting some good Dynasty content in there. We're hitting some nuggets. Becca gonna kidnap you. All right, and I'm about to hit the outro button. And stay the extra 4 seconds because I made a little thanks for watching. You guys can check that out and be thanked for watching. But appreciate you all. We will bid you adieu, Jeremy. Have a blast in Switzerland.
I will. I'm looking forward to it.
The motherland. All right, we will. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Check out. We'll be uploading some YouTube vids in the near future. When Will gets around to editing those. Coding like a sweatshop.
I have been. I've been coding like a maniac. If I haven't posted anything in the day for a while, I'm losing my mind. But there'll be new stuff soon.
Heck yeah! All right. Well, I will see you all next Tuesday. Appreciate you all. Join the Discord if you're not in there, and peace out.